Y'all know about that what's it called? That Sanrio character, Big Problems?
Yeah.
That's me. Welcome, finally, to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel, and then we play the little bit again the next week, talk about how it makes us feel, and then we play the next week and talk about how it makes us feel, because I don't know how computers work.
That's the one.
I am Maddie Spiffle Webbin.
I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren. I'm also still waking up, so I apologize for looking like garbage.
Yeah, I know what you here on the live are thinking. You're like, wow, these guys are such morning people because they're doing a live show at 9:30 in the morning. But you would be wrong. This is just Sam works nights.
Those two wake up at the ass crack of dawn. This is my weekend, and normally I would sleep in a little longer, but
oops,
nope,
didn't work out that way.
Nope. Yeah. So today we will be celebrating a little bit late. We will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary as a pod.
Woo!
Congratulations, everybody. We did it. We are now 1 year old. We are now a tiny little baby toddler. We've now gone from the point where the baby, like, where the mom and the dad say the baby's cute, but really you're like, no, it's not. Babies aren't cute. That's a tiny little grub. But now we've gone to the point where you're like, oh, the baby's cute now.
Yeah. Baby's actual cute.
Actually cute, not just some little weird red screaming thing that you have to deal with.
It's no longer just a potato.
Exactly. So you're welcome. You're welcome, Internet. So anyway, today we're going to be having a special two-part double Final Fantasy X combo Bob, where we're going to play all the way from the beginning, all the way until the extremely famous scene that we'll get to right at the end. You'll find out what scene it is when we get there. Although you might already know if I said the famous scene from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah. So this is the one scene that I have seen since I played it back in 5th grade.
So we are going to be basically blasting through this because we've already recorded twice.
And we don't want to do it again.
Don't want to do it again, and we don't have that long, and there's a lot to get through. So rest with us. It's kind of going to be like, here's the overall point of the plot, and here's what you need to know to go forward, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be doing. So anyway, but I don't want, just because we're speeding through doesn't mean I'm not going to skip asking you folks how y'all's week was.
My week was really good. It was not as good as last week that these people didn't get to hear. I don't even remember what I said last week. I just wanted to build some suspense. But yeah, my week was okay. My sister came to visit, which was super dope, and she brought me and Eli a copy of Lost Odyssey. So we now have no excuse for the accessibility portion to play Lost Odyssey. So whenever this comes up, you guys should just vote for Lost Odyssey because it would be really awesome.
Lost Odyssey is a fucking fantastic game, and y'all better fucking vote for it.
Yeah. But don't know when that'll be, but now we have the game, so it'll work. But yeah, and then we hung out. I met her new boyfriend. He is okay. But everything's just fine over here.
Badass.
No big deal.
What about you, Eli?
I don't even know what happened this week. I'm so tired. I'm fine, I guess.
I've had a whirlwind of a week. So I'm in Oakland, and the Oakland Teachers Association has gone on strike. Sam mentioned how we're up real early. Well, this is actually the latest I've woken up this week. I've been waking up every day at 5 or 5:30 a.m. and taking a car full of people and heading out to the picket line wherever I'm needed, and basically just been doing strike support for the teachers all week. And then I've been going to work in the afternoon because I have these stupid meetings, and then working until like 9 p.m. and getting home at like 10 p.m. And 2 nights out of 4 this week, I have forgotten to eat dinner because I've been in my bed chilling with my dog, and then fell asleep before I went instead of getting up to go get dinner, including last night. That's how I am exhausted. Today I took the day off of strike support. Sorry, teachers. So I got up an hour and a half later than that to do this podcast. Um, so it's been a whirlwind. So anyway, let's get started on this gosh darn game. So here's the thing: Final Fantasy X. Okay, it's basically Futurama. Okay, the main character, whose name is Goku, because I named him Goku. No, his name is actually Titus or Titus.
His name is JJ Max, and that's
or
canon.
If you're Eli, his name is Titties. He gets transported 1,000 years into the future from his and to begin his adventure. So the game starts with a flash forward. We are towards the end of the game. The characters are all sitting around the fireplace. Blah blah blah. They're being sad. They're being dramatic. The music plays. Titus says, "Listen to my story. This may be our last chance." That's very important, which is why I bring it up. He says, "Listen to my story." We flash back. He lives in a futuristic world called Xanarkand. Everything's crazy and high-tech. It's like Jet Set Radio. He's a famous sports ball player. It's called Blitzball. Well, he's an up-and-comer. He's going to be famous. He's an up-and-comer. He has a shitty dad, okay? His dad disappeared 10 years ago. His dad's name is Jecht. I made a joke multiple times that didn't get recorded about how he looks up at a billboard and he sees Jecht. And I made a reference to The Great Gatsby, where I called Jecht the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg. The first time I called it Dr. T.J. Jechtelberg, and the second time I called him Titus Jecht Eckelberg, which is a bit of a stretch, but I thought it was pretty funny. And the second time I referenced The Great Gatsby, I took it a step further. Just like in The Great Gatsby, I metaphorically referred to Jecht as the eyes of God, which by the end of today you'll realize was actually a spoiler hidden as a stupid reference.
Yeah.
And I felt very smart about it. So Titus does not like his dad. His dad's on posters everywhere. He cannot get out from under his shadow. He says, "Fuck you, Dad. I'm going to be famous and be my own man." In the middle of the big sports ball game, a giant freaking monster appears. His name is Sin, which is very on the nose. And he blows the shit out of everything. You go through some tutorials. You meet this guy named Ulrin, who is your stereotypical stock character who's older and wiser than everyone else, which is to say he's probably like 30.
Yeah.
Unlike the heroes who are all like 18. Everything gets blown the fuck up. And then Auron is weirdly like aloof though, like he knows what's going on, even though he's not saying anything. And
like instead of saying like, "Oh, this is a big scary monster," he says, "We called it Sin." And you're like, okay, so like something.
Yeah. Wait to be mysterious, bitch. He says like 5 lines of dialogue.
Speaking of mysterious, throughout this whole thing is this little ghost kid that just is like hanging around and belittling Titus constantly.
It's very weird. You're not sure if he's really there, if he's just there in Titus's mind, if he's not even there at all. Like maybe Titus isn't even aware of him, even though he sometimes reacts to him being there. He keeps talking about how Titus likes to cry. There's multiple mentions of Titus crying and being a crybaby, though we have not seen him cry. And frankly, he's been pretty tough, I think. A lot of shit happens.
As we'll see here in a second.
The final thing that happens is Auron takes Auron grabs Titus by the arm and holds him up in the air. And basically, at this point, at first, the monster Sin was a giant ball of water. I think because the monster was enclosed in water. At this point, the monster is a giant gaping asshole. And Auron, the asshole is sucking Titus up into it, and Auron is holding him, and Auron says to Titus, "This is your story. It all begins here." And then he weirdly kind of looks off to the side, maybe at the monster, maybe not. You're not really sure where he's looking, and he goes, "You are sure?" with a question mark, which is like saying, "Are you sure?" but in a dramatic way. And you're like, is he asking the monster? What? I don't get it. And then he lets go of Titus, and Titus gets transported. What we will find out later is 1,000 years into the future. Wow, that took very little time. Sam, what did I miss?
Okay, let's see. You hit most of the things that seem important. You were skipping the kid, but we put that one back in. We should say that the sports ball that he plays, Blitzball, it takes place inside of a giant sphere of water, which is dumb, but it happens.
Yeah, water is a theme in this game, absolutely, because Hironobu Sakaguchi was living in Hawaii at the time and thought it was great. That's not the only reason, I'm just exaggerating. But, one important thing is that people in this world, I don't know, it's just a fact of this fantasy world that makes it different from our world, they can hold their breath for stupendous amounts of time.
Yeah,
I would guess your average person could hold their breath for, a few minutes or something, whereas an athlete, a professional blitzball player, or a warrior who is trained could hold his breath for however long it takes you to get through a dungeon.
Yeah.
Or the entirety of a blitzball game, for example, and that actually is referenced in the game as a side note as one of the NPCs. So that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah. They just hand wave that. They're like, fuck it, they can hold their breath.
Yeah, but other than that, I think that's it. The only gameplay thing is there's a boss that only casts Demi, so it feels like he's really dangerous, but he's actually it cannot possibly kill you.
Yep. The boss tricked me when I was a kid. It probably tricked you when you were a kid. It tricked me for about 1 second this time. And it also took the heck out of Eli. Eli hasn't played as many Final Fantasies as I have, so he forgot what Demi is.
Yeah. The other thing is our limit breaks are called Overdrive, and almost every boss battle we will have a shoot over to the side instead of at the boss sort of reaction command type thing.
Yeah, every boss has some sort of special gimmick. Also, one final thing, I did actually mention this. We didn't talk about this last time, but I am going to add it this time because it becomes more important. This game has a brilliant mechanic called Overkill. If you don't just kill an enemy, but kill the bejesus out of it. If you, it turns out every enemy, it's actually not programmatic. It's actually hard coded in for each enemy. It's not like a systematic thing. Nice. Which I like that a lot. Every enemy in the game has a threshold, and say the enemy has 300 hit points, and maybe it has 5 hit points left. You've done 295. Say you hit it for 200 hit points. So it only needed 5, but you do 200 more. That might pass a predetermined threshold. And if you pass this predetermined threshold, you have now committed an overkill, which is to say you didn't just kill him, but you killed the hell out of him. If you do overkill, you get literally, I shit you not, double experience points.
Whoa.
Yep.
Double.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
And yes, you can overkill bosses.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot for not warning y'all about this. I chatted with Sam about it, but I think it was in a private chat, not on purpose, Eli. I wasn't like I'm trying to exclude you.
You're trying to leave me out.
So I'm really sorry for not addressing that in the last 3 weeks. But yeah,
well, it's funny because when I was playing for my Let's Plays, there's one point where I'm like, I'm overkilling these a lot. What does that even mean? Like, why do I mean, I know I just kill them in one hit. Why is it telling me overkill on some of them and not others? And what is the purpose of this? Is it adding to my overdrive? No.
Yep. Yeah, So 2 things. 1, having the 2 things called overkill and overdrive is stupid as shit.
Yeah.
Overkill makes sense. It's a great name. This year called overdrive something else.
Like limit break.
Yeah, as you play the game, pay attention to every enemy. For example, pretty soon in the game, there's an enemy that is supposed to be killed by Waka because it's flying, but Waka will not overkill it. Lulu will overkill it. So I always use Lulu, for example.
Nice.
So paying attention to which enemies can be most easily overkilled and how to do that is a great way to stay very highly leveled, which you don't have to. The game's not that hard, but anyway. Just thought I'd address that. So,
yeah, that's cool.
We're now into the actual game. Tidus or Goku or Titties or JJ Max.
Yeah. With 2 X's, too.
Gets transported to hell into a mysterious ruin. It's not the ruins of Zanarkand. It's a different ruin. He's alone, and it's dramatic, and he's very resilient, and he makes a fire, and then as he fights some monsters, there's always a bigger fish. There's a fish, and then there's a bigger fish, and it's like in Star Wars. And then a new character shows up, voiced by Tara Strong, and she punches him. It's great. And you hang out with her for a bit. Frankly, it's not that important. Do y'all agree with me that basically the point of this is just that Tara gives you some world building, and then you get attacked by Sin and you leave?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
And some more tutorials.
Yeah, some more tutorials. This is when you finally get to Sphere Grid, which is cool. If we want to talk about that for a little bit. Other than that, she just is like, oh, Luca is where all the Blitzball is. I'll take you to Luca, and then Sin attacks, and you fall into the water. Also,
this is the point at which she actually tells he's 1,000 years in the future. And he's like, I'm a famous Blitzball player from Zanarkand. And she's like, you know what now?
She's like, that's not real.
She's like, Zanarkand was really destroyed 1,000 years ago. It's a ruin that no one can go or else they die. What's up, Eli?
He's Fry from Futurama.
Yeah.
It really is.
My God, a million years.
And at any rate,
Sorry.
he denies it at first, but eventually realizes that she's probably telling the truth. Also, Xanarkin, here's where we start learning about religion. Apparently, Xanarkin is a holy place, which Tina thinks is hilarious because it seemed in our opening scenes to be more like a den of debauchery. It was like a sci-fi Blade Runner Sodom and Gomorrah, basically. How come we have a thing called sodomy, but we don't have a thing called Gomorrah? Whatever it is, I bet it's real kinky.
Yeah.
It's so much worse than sodomy. They didn't even tell anybody what it was in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to give anybody any ideas if they read this. Anyway,
that's grody.
Yeah.
One other thing we learn when we're with Riku is we see one of the Albed that she's with. First off, we've learned that Albed exists, but
they're
one of the Albed that she's with. When we're like, all right, we're going to go and do this little water dungeon, he wishes us good luck by doing a little bow thing, and that comes up here in a second. But that's the first time we see it, and this is just like, what? Because we saw little kids do that to him back in Xanarkand.
Yeah.
So
basically, this game is about two things: religion and sports.
What's the difference?
Seriously though, and the final thing about the religion is, so Xanarkand's a holy place, and that she's saying that people might get offended if he goes around saying, "I'm a blitzball player from Xanarkand," and it turns out that Sin, the giant monster that we saw earlier, still exists in this world. Apparently, 1,000 years later, Sin still exists, and if you get too near Sin, it fucks up your head. It messes up your memories. So basically, she thinks, oh, you must just have weird Sin amnesia. That's why you're so stupid. So from now on, anytime she just doesn't know some stupid shit that everyone else should know, because he's a player insert character, he's just like, oh, I got too close to Sin and it fucked up my head. And they're like, oh, you poor thing. You're extremely stupid. We'll be nice to you.
Yeah, it happens real great in the stuff that we just played. There's a bit where Yuna's like, oh, he's a blitzball player from Xanarkand because I believe him about being from the past future, and everyone's like, what? And Tina's just like, we got Sin poisoning. Don't listen to the High Summoner. Like,
she's also an idiot. So anyway, just as things are starting to get fun and as you're starting to hang out with your new girlfriend, Riku, with 2 Ks, not to be confused with Riku with 1 K from Kingdom Hearts, Sin attacks. It's a giant weird silvery whale thing. You fall in the water and you get transported somewhere else to begin the next phase of your journey.
And even while unconscious, you can hold your breath for the length of an entire dungeon. And you wake up face down in the water, and you wake up face down in the water.
Which is pretty impressive. So you, at this point... At this point, the game really begins. You meet a character named Waka. He is voiced by the voice actor for Bender from Futurama, which is why he's Fry's best buddy. And and Waka loves blitzball. And he's with the worst team in all of Spira. This world's called Spira, by the way. So he's the leader of the Besaid Oryx, the worst team in all of Spira. They haven't won a game in like 10 fucking years. And he says, oh my god, you are so good at sports. Please join our team. You need to go to Luca, join our team. And Goku's just like, all right, sure. Waka can't tell that Goku is like horrendously depressed because he's like sad that he'll probably never see his home again and is having to deal with the like stages of grief that go with that. Waka's just like, hey, you good at sports.
I think now would be a great time, speaking of how Tidus is going through the stages of grief. Everyone says that he's whiny. I think every emotion that he has is perfectly either
he's
normal
valid.
Or
clap,
or like super strong to not be having the emotions of, if I woke up 1,000 years in the future and never got to see any of my friends ever again, and everything I knew was exploded, I probably want to immediately wake up and start finding like fire to save myself and shit. Like, Tidus is great.
I would freak the fuck out.
I also think maybe a little bit of a look. Maybe this is giving me more credit than it gets, but I also think maybe a little bit of a Loki undercurrent is that like he doesn't really miss his old life that much.
Yeah.
Like, was he famous? Yes. Did he live in Technology Land? Yes. But, like, he was lonely.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like, wow, I can have community and friends and stuff. This is actually low-key maybe better.
Yeah.
So anyway,
especially once he meets the girl.
Exactly, which is about to. So soon we get to the small town of Besaid. The game's architecture is beautiful. You learn a lot more about religion that I'm going to breeze past. There's a lot of stuff where like Tidus doesn't know something, and then later he does know it. So we'll just skip to the part where he does know it. Everyone's talking about this person. You learn about this important dude named High Summoner Lord Braska, and you're like, who the hell is that?
Right here, speaking of the religion thing, this is when Waka's like, oh, it's probably going to be important. Do you remember the prayer? And you get to pick, I don't know any prayers, or I forgot. And then Waka teaches you the prayer for their religion, and it's that same good luck at Blitzball thing from earlier.
Yeah,
so
over 1,000 years, the hand motion for please win at the sports has morphed into like, God bless
praise
us.
Be to Yevon.
Yeah, praise be to Yevon, which is cool as hell. So anyway, there's a bunch of hullabaloo because someone is in the temple, and someone is in the temple doing a trial of some sort, and they haven't come out yet, and they're like, oh, they've been there a long time. And Tidus is like, what the hell is a summoner? And and he's like, oh, sorry, I'm stupid because of sin. Oh, wow. Relatable, right? I'm stupid because of sin.
Yeah.
And he has a little monologue where he's like, basically what I thought was going on was that some old white dude was in there because I'm sure the religious leader is some old pope-looking ass.
Right.
And he's surprised when the person who comes out, and I know this is skipping ahead, we'll go back. The person who comes out is not an old pope-looking ass, but is a beautiful young woman, approximately his age, who is extremely beautiful and extremely quiet, and her name is Yuna, and she's the main character of this game. Spoiler.
How convenient.
What's really cool, and this doesn't feel cool in 2019. It was incredibly cool in 2001, but Yuna is the Final Fantasy main character, and Tidus is a nobody, pretty much. Like, he's literally there just a self-insert character, but all RPGs pretty much were like, you are the chosen one. You very rarely were like, you are the chosen one's best friend. Let's go play a video game.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically Nick Carraway from the Great Gatsby. No, I will not stop referencing the Great Gatsby. Do not at me. Also, while we're on the very references, Blitzball, for some reason, is also the name of the sport in the really famous book that a lot of people had to read in high school, even though it sucks, called, darn it, not Age of Innocence, it's a different book.
Paradise Lost?
No, that book owns. Also, it's not a book. No, what's it called? Not Age of Innocence.
I'm trying to remember, because you've said it 3 times.
Age of Innocence owns. Are you freaking kidding me right now? A Separate Piece. There we go.
There it is.
Separate Piece sucks, but in it they play a sport called Blitzball, so maybe the game's localizers or original writers read that book. Who knows? Or it's a coincidence. So anyway, important thing, before you get to meet Yuna, you have to go through a temple. This game, sort of like a Pokemon game or like a Zelda game, is structured around a series of temples. And what's cool about the temples is they're not the game's dungeons. The game's dungeons is anytime you go anywhere. This temples do not have battles, and they're like little puzzle rooms. They're actually kind of like the dungeons in the new Zelda, you know? The Divine Beast. They're sort of like that. Except Divine Beast had enemies, but not like a ton, right? So anyway, you go through it. You're not supposed to go through it because only quote-unquote guardians are allowed in, but Tidus is just like, I'm not from here. I had different customs. I'm stupid. So he runs in. Because he runs in.
Look at my crazy passport!
Yeah. He runs in to try and save what he perceives as a person in danger. Later he realizes that he's stupid, and people basically forgive him because he's stupid.
So twice this playthrough, we go through a temple to chase after Yuna when we're not supposed to, and we still have to do all the puzzles. Which one of the guardians is the one that closes all the doors behind them?
Yeah, and resets all the puzzles.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe the summoner goes through like a different route or something. Maybe someone doesn't...
I think it's Lulu, because Lulu obviously doesn't want you to be a guardian at this point.
Yeah.
And so as she goes through, she's like,
she's,
"Oh, that asshole's coming." So let's close
she's smart enough to know that you're gonna fucking run in there anyway.
Yeah.
But I love how like part of the puzzle is like, oh, you blew up a wall. Like, how does that undo itself? It doesn't make any sense. But maybe it's all just a big illusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just
Probably.
like a spirit quest.
Yeah, it's a spirit quest. It's a spirit quest. Or a Sphera quest.
Nice.
Either one's fine.
Yeah.
Why is the world called Sphera? It should clearly be called Sphera.
It should have been.
Given how much everyone loves spheres in this game.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a conspiracy.
Very nice. Oh, this game's got some conspiracies, believe me.
Oh,
So anyway, time to move past that.
Yes, please.
So after that, Yuna gets out and she's like, I've become a summoner. I succeeded in the trial, which I think the trial is like she has to go into the even more inner sanctum and do like some kind of intense spirit quest that apparently takes 3 days. You know, it reminds me of, again, in the Bible where, like, only the high priest is allowed in the innermost sanctum of the temple where the Ark of the Covenant is, and it's like, if you're not the high priest and you go in there, you'll just fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminds me of. But because she is, I guess, very strong of heart and is the main character, she comes out, she makes it, and she's, I'm a summoner. What does that mean? That means she can do a little dance with her staff and make a cool pose, and then a giant fucking winged beast called Valifor shows up out of the sky and kills all the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It kicks ass.
It's dope.
It's dope. So she shows that off to everybody, and they're like, "Wow, so cool! Our little small town girl has become a big shot summoner." It's almost like when you live in a town of like 5,000 people, and someone like gets signed to go be the quarterback at UT or something. You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh hell yeah!" So anyway, at this point, Goku, Tidus, and Yuna meet for the first time. They don't talk about anything in particular. They just shoot the shit, and they clearly both like each other a lot. They're vibing. Yeah. They're vibing. It's not just he likes her; she also likes him, which I think is really cute.
Yeah, and it's like surprisingly not one of those like a movie style meet cutes where like she's aloof because like that's what you have to do in the patriarchal society of being a girl. Is you have to say no, I don't actually like you because I like you, and it has to be a whole thing. Like it's from the beginning. They're just like we doing this?
Yeah.
All right.
She's like she's giving him really looks that are not unlike. She's like Janie E from Twin Peaks: The Return. Like she's looking at Tidus and it's like, yeah, she wants the tea. Like obviously, like. You know, me and Bernard were talking recently about Janie E, and Bernard was like, "Yeah, David Lynch must have told
Naomi
Watts, hey, Naomi Watts, can you be the horniest you've ever been on screen in a movie, even hornier than you were in Mulholland Drive?" And she's like, "I'll try."
I would say she pulled it off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she's like mom horny, which is a very different thing from single horny.
Yeah. That scene was hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's happening with the two of them. God, so good. So basically, people talk about some random stuff. There's a few various character emotions that I feel bad we won't get to talk about. But frankly, I'm sorry, but the Waka Chapu thing, it's not actually that important. It never becomes important.
Why am I not surprised that it's not important? They keep bringing it up, but it just has always struck me as it's just a way for the characters to kind of like to grow themselves and not.
Yeah,
like,
I think
Chapu's
it's more
never gonna actually come into it or anything.
Yeah, I think it's more like how is Lulu and Waka and Tidus's relationship more than the fact that it revolves around Chapu.
Yeah.
But
actually,
since we already talked about it, Chapu is Waka's dead brother that Tidus looks a lot like, and Lulu accuses Waka of trying to replace Chapu with Tidus because Lulu and Chapu were a thing. Boom.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Onto the boat.
Yeah. Waka sees Tidus as a replacement for his dead brother. The end. At any rate, other stuff. We talk about praying at shrines. Again, everyone believes very strongly in their religion and takes it very seriously. Tidus has like at this point, for the record, Tidus has had like 3 or 4 dreams about his dad, and all of them are just like his dad sucks. His dad tells him he sucks all the time. His dad's abusive. He hates his dad. He hasn't seen his dad in 10 years. he wishes that he could get closure with his dad, because he never got to tell his dad that he hates him or get any closure or any therapy, because like most RPG characters, he really needs to go to therapy. He never got to go to therapy with his dad because his dad disappeared 10 years ago, and that's fucking him up. So they all get on the boat. He's just getting on the boat because he has to go to Luca to try and find someone who knows him. The Sate Oryx are getting on the boat because they want to go win at sports, and Yuna and her team of guardians, who I'll address in a second, are going on a boat to go on some kind of pilgrimage that we don't really know anything about yet. On this pilgrimage are Yuna, Waka, who is a part-time sportsman, part-time heroic guardian, Lulu, who is old-timey best friend of both Waka and the dead and Chapu and Yuna. She is extremely goth and wears a lot of belts and has a tasteful leg window and is the black mage of the party.
She is the platonic ideal of the big titty goth GF.
Exactly. She is the most big, the most titty, the most goth, and the most GF ever made.
I love Rose, and Rose will forever be my big titty goth GF, but I gotta give it to Lulu. She checks off way more boxes than Rose does.
I love Lulu.
Yeah. And then finally there is this bloke named Kamari, who is doesn't really talk at all, silent, stoic warrior, not called a Ronso. He's a wolf person. He's a furry. And he's been Yuna's guardian ever since she was a small child, and you learn a little bit more about him later. For now, he's just kind of there. He's not even in the party yet, though he will be very soon. The end. You get on the boat.
Part 1 complete.
Yep, part 1 complete.
Now
that took
on to part 2.
Like 20 minutes. That was
awesome. We did it.
Good job.
Let's go that fast the rest of the time.
Oh my god.
No, let's not.
Yeah, we'll slow down a little bit since this new stuff is not stuff we've done twice already.
Yeah.
So anyway, you leave on the boat, and this is one of those classic, like we talked about last time, boat scenes in games.
Yeah.
They're great.
Boats
I don't
are great.
there's almost nothing more I like in a video game than a scene where the characters do not have the ability to do anything, and therefore they just have to chill for a bit while they wait for something to happen. The entire back half of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
They're waiting on the boat to get to the place, so you get to go and talk to people. It's great. Everyone loves Yuna a whole lot, and she has a lot of humility. She's just always humble all the time. There's some really nice music. There's a great version of Two Xanarkand. There's an extremely dumb scene where Tidus harasses an innocent sailor. The sailor is just trying to look with his binoculars, and Tidus is jumps on his head and does a backflip and does a handstand on the guy's shoulders and then steals his binoculars.
It's so good.
He looks around at everyone in first person. He ogles Lulu very, very briefly. Then he sees Yuna and is like, "Oh, what am I ogling Lulu for? There's Yuna." The funny thing is he's creeping on Yuna with these binoculars, but he's 15 feet away from her. And he's everyone, so she just looks at him "Why are you standing 15 feet away from me staring directly at me with binoculars?" But she smiles and waves because she thinks he's cute. And if someone's cute, they can basically do whatever, right?
Right.
We've all been there.
In How I Met Your Mother, they call this the Dobler to Dahmer gradient, where Lloyd Dobler carrying a speaker over his head to play a song outside of your window is really, really sweet, but Jeffrey Dahmer holding up a speaker outside of your window to play music is not cute. It is
that is in fact terrifying.
I don't know who those people are, but I understand the concept.
Lloyd Dobler is
serial killer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Lloyd Dobler is the guy from Say Anything that holds the speaker outside of the girl's window at the climax of the movie.
I figured that was from a movie, but I haven't seen it. Anyway, cool. I get the concept. The boat's design rules. Again, this game, I haven't talked enough about it because it's not the thing that everyone wants to hear about, but this game's world design and architecture is stupendously well thought out and beautiful. I took a lot of pictures.
Which gives me an in to talk about the creation of this game. So this game is Final Fantasy.
Yeah, we gotta cover this.
It is the 9th Final Fantasy game that they began working on. But while they were doing it, Sakaguchi was like, I kind of miss taking the reins of a Final Fantasy game. Can I make a Final Fantasy Gaiden, a side story? And everyone's like, yeah, absolutely, that'll be great. So then he's like, oh hey, all of the people that have worked on the original Final Fantasy games, do you want to come back and do a Final Fantasy with me? And it kind of got huge, and they're like, okay, well, since you're making that for the PS1, that'll be Final Fantasy 9, and you can squeeze it out in the last, like, month that the PS1 matters. And then launch title for PS2 will do Final Fantasy 10, the previous Final Fantasy 9. And it was really cool, because both of them, both Final Fantasy 9s were trying to be a return to form to the old style of Final Fantasy, which is funny that we ended up at Final Fantasy X because of that. But because they both thought that sci-fi was going to wear out its welcome in the Final Fantasy franchise, and they wanted to get back to like a magical sort of medieval thing. So for Final Fantasy 9, they just did it, and like, all right, we're here. Medieval Final Fantasy is back, but for Final Fantasy X, they were like, okay, well, we still want to do something new and different, because we don't look at 6 games versus 2 games and think that the 2 games is too much. We also agree that the 6 games that are all just medieval are too much. So so for Final Fantasy X, they took a modern boy, shoved him quote unquote back in time, actually forward in time, but then instead of being medieval fantasy, they heavily based it on like the more tropical Asian locales, so like Thailand, Hawaii, those sorts of things. Based it heavily in those. So its world design is so like obviously fantasy, but is also not like just dudes with swords like the older Final Fantasies were, and it's super dope.
Yeah. Also, you know what? I haven't addressed this before, but I'll just go ahead and spoil it. Not spoil, because this is just my opinion. It's not even the plot of the game. The world design isn't just a draw; it's the point of this game. And as the player learning about the characters, the world is important. Tidus learning about the world is important. Tidus learning about this world, and that he is not the hero of this story, and that he should love and respect the place that he lives in, and learning to love it and love the people in it is actually low-key literally the point of the game, and that's why the world design is so stupendously good and is important, and not just nice pictures. Anyway, moving on.
It's very weird that Aron tells you it's your story at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll address that.
I guess it's meant to throw you off.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things about this game that we'll probably talk about 40 hours later, right? That's a retrospective sort of thing.
Almost all of everything in our quote unquote part 1 that we just did, it will be relevant in 40 hours, because that's kind of that's kind of how JRPGs happen.
Yep. So anyway, so you talk with Waka. He's like, oh yeah, we're going to Kilika just because Kilika is a stopover on the way to Luca. But while we're there, we gotta go pray at the temple. Yuna's praying there for her pilgrimage, but also, while we're here, we're gonna pray for victory so that we'll win at sports. The whole idea of like, the whole modern American idea of like Tim Tebow and like, wait, why would an omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient God care about one team winning at sports over another team winning at sports when there's so much else going on in the world? That idea hasn't occurred to these people.
Nope.
Which I think is good, because modernism was a mistake. Lulu tells Waka that he's stupid. I don't even remember why. She just does.
Because he's stupid.
At this point, the crowd is freaking out. They're excited about Yuna. Turns out that random important dude named High Summoner Lord Braska, that's Yuna's dad. So everyone thinks that Yuna has quote unquote royal blood. You then find out High Summoner Braska defeated Sin 10 years ago. Goku says, yeah, it's tough when your dad's famous. Now, people keep saying defeated Sin, but it's like, wait, Sin is still around. He has fucked us up like 4 times.
That doesn't... I've been saying that like the entire time. Anytime someone's like, hey, defeated Sin, I'm like, no, they didn't.
What's interesting, is that what's interesting isn't that keeps happening, but that Tidus doesn't ever say what we're thinking. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's just like, you know what, I don't understand anything, so why should I bother making people explain shit to me constantly? I'll just probably figure it out eventually, At this point, he's learned not to run his mouth. But yeah, Tidus has not asked anybody, what the fuck do you mean when you say defeat Sin? Lulu says Waka is dumb again. I forget what happens here. I don't remember. So Waka says something dumb, and Lulu... literally
it's in my memorable moments.
Okay, cool. So we'll get to it later then. there's another thing, memorable moment for me. You go down below, you meet another important character named Owaka. He basically says, "I'm Owaka. You're wearing stupid clothes and are broke. GTFO." Goku, Tidus basically just says, "Who the hell do you think you are?" And he's like, "Oh," he goes, "I'm Owaka," and Tidus goes, "Owaka the who?" The reason this is important is that Owaka is going to be like, this game is about going on a journey, so every time you go to a new place, Owaka's going to be there. He's going to be like, "I'm here too, I'm selling shit." You can give Owaka money. He says, "Please invest in my future business. Please be an angel investor." Y'all, do that.
I gave him 100. Is that okay?
Give him as much as you can every time he asks.
You have to give him more than 10,000 gold to get an actual discount.
Is that? Oh, yeah, but it's not just a discount though. It's special items. I mean, you don't have to, but look it up. And what's in that? I mean, I gave him 1,000 in this. I think I gave him 2,000 right here. I mean, anyway, there's.
Okay, well, I mean, am I going to be able to keep giving him money? Because it sounded like you have to grind up all this money now.
No. He'll ask you many times.
Okay.
Yeah. Over the course of the game, give him a lot of money. At some point, you get discounts, and at some point, you get unique items that you can't get anywhere else. I don't actually remember what it is. I just remember it's worth it. Although, maybe I should look it up in case I'm bullshitting you.
I haven't had to buy anything really so far. I mean, I've bought a few things, but
yeah,
I haven't really purchased a whole lot of stuff. So I guess I can give him some money.
Yeah.
I've been afraid that I was going to have to sit there and grind 10,000
No.
for
The one thing that's cool about letting you have your entire party of characters at all times is I don't ever really need to buy anything. Like, I keep some Phoenix Downs just in case Yuna dies, but like...
If someone gets too hurt, just switch them out.
Yep.
Yeah, just switch them out, or switch... If I can't just switch them out to get them out of there, I switch in Yuna to heal them type thing, and then keep going on my merry way.
Yeah.
And it's pretty dope.
It's dope. Yeah, also, this game's a little easy. It does get tough later, and I love this game's battle system, so I'm probably going to want to tackle all the super stupendously hard in-game bosses, because I didn't get to as a kid, because they weren't added until the International Edition. They weren't in the original US release. So I'm going to want to be leveling up and grinding and getting all my good weapons and doing the crafting and shit. But if you aren't planning on doing that, frankly, this game's not that hard. So you can, like, if you see a shop and there's a new sword and you can't afford it, just keep going. It's fine. Yeah. Anyway, turns out the boat is chocobo powered.
Which is dope.
Literally, you go down to the quote-unquote engine room, and it's a bunch of chocobos on giant wheels. It's the funniest shit, and I love it.
Yeah, because it's funny, because, like, Waka says that they don't use machines in Spiro because machines are what made Sin show up to kill everybody 1,000 years ago. Yeah, and so...
Machines are sinful.
Yeah, so when you get on this obviously steam-powered boat, there's no sails, there's no anything, like it is a machine, you're like, what the heck? And you go downstairs and it's chocobo-powered so that it can be kosher. It's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, also there's a suitcase here. This game does occasionally let you click on things that aren't chests. There's a suitcase, and if you click on it, Tidus just fucking, like, kicks it, and a potion comes out. And if you keep kicking it, there's like 5 or 7 potions in there. Just keep kicking it until it stops dispensing potions.
You can get up to 20.
Oh my god.
It'll let you keep getting potions until you have 20 in your inventory.
Oh, that's why I only got 5, because then I already had 20. That's...
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's like the egg blocks in Yoshi's Island then. It's just, it maxes you out.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So yeah, in the future, please yeet the suitcases if you see them. So, there's another Yuna scene. They flirt with each other extremely badly. Yuna is like, "So you're a Blitzball player from Xanarkand, right? I believe you." Which is very strange. Why does she believe him? There's no reason. Is she as stupid as he is?
Because he's cute.
Because he's
yeah,
cute.
is she
She
just
likes
like
him.
Is she just like, I actually believe him? Or is she like, he's cute, so I'll just say I believe him because that's what you do when someone's cute. You just tell them nice things. But then you find out a second later, here's what it is. She heard all about Xanarkand from someone else. From this dude named Jecht, her father's guardian.
Yep.
Goku is extremely fucked up by this and is like, "That's my dad." And Yuna, who doesn't know about his relationship with his dad, is like, "That's amazing. It must be fate." And he's like, "My dad disappeared 10 years ago." And she's like, "Well, Lord Jecht arrived here in Spira around 10 years ago." And then she immediately puts 2 and 2 together and is like, "It must be the same guy." Jecht must have been transported to here the same way that, or she must have been transported here. And Tidus is like, how the hell could Jecht have been transported 10,000 years in the future? And Yuna just straight up looks at him. She goes, "You're here."
Yeah.
So this is the game.
But then I say, how did Orin do it backwards?
Yeah,
that's the magic. That
is quite possibly the most interesting thing about it. Absolutely. Again, Finn shows up. It's a big ass whale. The smart thing to do would be to sail away from it, but the sailors fire a harpoon at it. Turns out the sailors are from Kilika. The Sin is headed for Kilika, and they care about their hometown, so they would rather put themselves in danger and everyone else on the boat to distract Sin so that it doesn't destroy Kilika.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. There is now a double boss battle. First, you fight Sin on the boat, and it's this really dramatic scene where there's like these long camera shots, and like they model the whole, like, it's the PS2. They model the entire boat with 3D graphics. It's cool as hell. And again, like the whale Sin will like move around, and the boat will like the harpoon will like turn to follow him, and it's all this shit. Anyway, I overkilled him because I was okay. Oh, here's a spoiler. Here's how you make sure you always overkill. Okay, once it gets down to low health, just bring in Yuna and kill it with a summon overdrive.
Okay.
Right.
When do I know it's at low health?
Oh, right. So, as is proper in an RPG, the game does not automatically give you health bars for enemies. I think, frankly, almost always think that's the right decision design-wise. If you have, there's a spell called Scan. If you use Scan, it'll give you, whenever you point at the enemy, it'll tell you its health at all times. Also, a lot of characters' weapons have a passive ability called Scan. That means if you're using that character and you hit attack and target the enemy, it'll show you how much health it has, but only when you're using a character that actually has that on his or her weapon.
Yeah. It'll show it for anyone in the party, thankfully.
Oh, you're right, but if they're out of the party, it won't show it.
I think it's called Censor.
Censor, that's what it's called, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
I'm curious, why is it the right decision not to tell you how much HP a boss has or an enemy has?
I'll get into that some other time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of those.
Like, it's always been frustrating to me not to know how much HP something has. And I mean, like, I guess I can understand in games like Hollow Knight or The Binding of Isaac, they want to keep that hidden so that, you know, I mean, I still don't get it, but I understand.
This is just another one of my weird, extremely strong opinions. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this is one of those when we decided to move to the new format because we got off on game design tangents. This would be like a 2-hour game design.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, got it.
It'll come up if you'll ever fucking vote on a Dragon Quest game. Or Halo. Anyway, the point is, this game, you can find out their health, but only if you use Scan or Sensor, and you definitely want to, specifically because of this overdrive concept. Or you kill someone with an, sorry, not overkill. Or if you, another way to overkill someone is to kill them with an overdrive. Stupid.
It's not confusing at all.
Not confusing at all. So after you do one battle, they're like, yay, we killed Sin. Or not killed, but like basically it gets riled up and the harpoon breaks and it flies, it swims away. But then they're like, wait, where did Tidus go? Whenever Tidus isn't on screen, everyone says, where's Tidus? And it turns out he fell off the boat. He's underwater. And underwater, he gets attacked by, I shit you not, another boss. You get attacked underwater. It's just a Tidus and Waka battle, because Waka swims down there to save him. I overkilled this boss as well, because I am obsessed with always doing it.
Also, if anybody has a dramatic character death in this game, I'm going to be mad, because Tidus is dead and underwater, drowning, and Waka uses an item from your inventory to wake him back up.
Yep.
Therefore, if Aerith dies and he doesn't use a Phoenix Down, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think. Well, I will say I don't think he was dead. I think he probably used a potion, but I still agree.
But yeah, because like every other time you're like, well, these are game
gaming
abstractions and story abstractions, but this time they crossed the streams. So
that's just
yeah. They've made the game. they've made the game mechanic diegetic. So
Yep.
Gotta...
Yeah, another reason this game is brilliant. They're like, Wakka just uses a potion in a cutscene. It owns.
Yeah.
Anyway, you win that battle too. There's no plot reason. They just want to have this game is again 80% boss battles and it's 50% boss battles, 40% cutscenes, and 10% things that aren't boss battles or cutscenes.
I would say it's more skewed toward the cutscenes.
Yeah, probably. I'm just
battles,
So anyway, despite all their efforts,
Killiko gets fucked.
Killiko gets fucked, and I feel like this. Okay, for me, this is when this boat scene is when the game's other foot drops. You learn the game's big plot hook, which is that Jecht is not dead, and you also she could, up until this point, it's nice, it's tropical, it's fun, got some religion, but then you get this really gratuitous scene of Sin completely annihilating this town. It is fucked up. He kills a ton of people, and this music starts playing. This ethereal kind of whooshy ambient music. Everyone's just really, really shook by this. Yuna strengthens her resolve. She's a beautiful human being, and she just looks and she's just like, I have to defeat Sin. And Goku realizes more than ever that this is a very serious situation that he's found himself in. They roll up to Kilika, and Yuna says, if there are no other summoners available, please allow me to perform the sending. And again, you're like, what is that? You explore Kilika a little bit. Everyone's sad. Not everyone's dead, for the record, but it is the place is trashed, and there's a few NPCs around.
And what's cool is the Arcs, immediately when you land, they just go and start rebuilding shit. They're just this is what we do. We're good people.
Yep. They're like, well, I guess we gotta, Sin destroys things and you rebuild it, and Sin destroys things and you rebuild it.
If we don't rebuild Kilika, who's going to block your way to the temple until you watch the scene with Yuna?
who's gonna be a contrived plot barrier? Yeah. So then you see the sending. This is one of the most famous cutscenes in the entire game. Absolutely,
it was freaking beautiful.
Yeah. So
it is really great.
So Lulu explains so Yuna is talking with the people, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to do the sending for you." It's last rites is what it is. It's fantasy version of last rites, which I've always thought is a beautiful concept. So anyway, Lulu explains. So again, another way this game is brilliant. So in most Final Fantasy games, in most RPGs, whenever you kill an enemy, there's some kind of cute animation. Like in Final Fantasy VII, they just kind of turn red and translucent. In Final Fantasy VI, they also turn red and translucent, unless they're a boss, in which case they slowly disintegrate from top to bottom. In Legend of Dragoon, when you kill them, they turn into a little splash of blood.
It's a blood explosion.
In this game, when you kill enemies, they fall over and disappear, and then they turn into a bunch of weird little wispy spirits that fly out. And, until this point, you're probably thinking, this is just how this game does it. Every RPG has what they do when an enemy dies. It's just a cute little graphical flourish. Turns out it's not. Turns out in this game, when people die, their souls need to be guided to heaven, a place called the Far Plane. If the sending isn't performed to do this, then the souls might stay in Spira. Instead of going on to heaven, they become bitter and angry and resentful of those who still live, and eventually they become fiends. Every monster in this game that you fight is a corrupted soul of someone who has died. And it's completely conceptualized as part of the game, as part of the game's
so basically
plot.
What you're telling me is everything in this game is diegetic.
Yeah. That's why this game is such another fucking step up from the rest of the series. It's all this shit that we just dealt with in the previous games as being just how these video games are. They're just wait, what if we address this?
Yeah. But not in but none of them have been in the way where it's check on your communicator to see the menu and change your settings and save your game type thing.
Seriously.
It's none of that. As cool as the Pip-Boy is, the Pip-Boy is stupid.
No,
you don't need a Pip-Boy.
Shit.
You can just have a fucking menu.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But
yeah.
And so all of these Pip-Boy style diegetic stuff, they're Final Fantasy X is no, that's not how you do it. I'll show you. It's good.
It whips.
It's good.
Yeah. So let's watch the sending. It's an FMV. Yuna, in case this game wasn't religious enough, I shit you not, walks on water. She walks.
What I think is great is the in-engine, walks over in her combat boots to the water. The FMV starts, and her boots are disintegrated, and she's barefoot to walk out onto the water.
That. So Yuna walks barefoot on water, and she gets to the center of just the little area. They're on the ocean, of course. So they're like in a little bay. So there's sort of an area, between a few piers, right? So she stands there. Oh, and also all around are man, these people work fast. Underneath the water are all these caskets. So they've already put all their dead into caskets, adorned the caskets with flowers, and put the flowers in the water, right? I do think it could be possible that like a day goes by before Sin destroying Kilika and them arriving, or something like that. We don't actually know if they showed up like right away or if it was like they still traveled for a little longer. So anyway, the caskets are beneath the surface of the water, again adorned with flowers, and she does a dance, and the music plays, and she spins around and around and around, and she's very serious. She's not having fun dancing. She's doing a very serious ritual, and she's spinning her wand up in the air and spinning. And then a spout of water appears beneath her feet, and she ends up floating in the air. Not floating, but like she's standing on a water spout, like 10 feet in the air, still dancing, spinning around and around and around. And then you see from the caskets, all those little spirits start to come out. And they come out and they swirl around her, and then they just start dissipating into the air, which presumably is them going to the far plane. And it's a really amazing scene. What's interesting is that the citizens of the town are all crying. They're all mourning, very like loud wailing grief. And Goku is in awe. He sees what's happening and how beautiful it is. He probably has a boner.
It's all right. Those big jeans or those big shorts really hide it.
Honestly,
so. That's why one leg is longer than the other. That's the side he tucks it on.
That's his boner leg.
Oh my God. That's his boner leg. Yeah, if he had two short jeans, then he wouldn't be able to do anything. Turns out Titus has a really... I believe Titus has a really big dick. I think that's probably canon.
On today's episode of the RPG Book Club, we discuss characters' dick sizes.
You know how in some RPGs they go way too hard with character details, like in anime? Like, you ever watch anime or play a video game where like they tell like what people's blood type is?
Yeah.
For some reason, that's a Japan thing.
Yeah, well, and sometimes in animes or in games they'll also like say like person's like bust size. Well, I think that now they should put people's dick size.
Dick size.
Just gotta know.
That should be in the game's manual. I want to know each character's dick size.
So you can be really sure about who the bad guys are because they have either the smallest or the biggest.
Yeah, depending. Exactly.
That's great.
Speaking of the bad guy, we'll definitely be debating someone's dick size later today. Anyway, but what's cool is that he's really not actually like, this girl's hot. Like, he gets that this is serious. He actually is, in my opinion, he is blown away by this person and how incredible he can tell that she is. He says it must be very hard being a summoner because he sees it like she's taking the grief and the burden of everybody on herself. And she said it must be hard being a summoner, and Lulu agrees. Lulu says Yuna has taken on this burden. All that we can do is be her guardians until the end. And he just says, "What's the end?" And he says it a little bit too loudly, and everyone turns and looks at him. And Lulu says, "The end is when she defeats Sin." So now we know. You probably intuited it before, but they never actually said it all. The pilgrimage is for her to eventually defeat Sin, just like her father before her. Then the sleep music plays, because apparently you went to sleep. The next day, people are rebuilding. You talk to Waka, and he says, "All right, let's go pray the temple for victory." I'm going to say this is not going to be a memorable moment for me, because I think it's very important to talk about now. Goku is like, he's still fucked up over everything he's seen, because he's new to this world. He's not used to things being depressing all the time. So he's like, it doesn't seem right. Is this really the time? Like, he's saying, is this really the time to be playing, like, sports? Like, all these people just died. And Waka's like, and Waka goes, this is the only time. And then he elaborates. He's like, sports are all we have. Like, life is hard. Like, people rebuild the town, and then Sin destroys the town. And then we rebuild the town, and then Sin destroys the town, and then we play sports. Like, that's all we have for our own entertainment. It allows us to forget our grief. And It's so fucking good. I know not everyone feels the same way as I do about sports, but I'm a big fan of sports, and not just sports as a concept, but like the role they play in our society as ritual. And I know that they can be bad in a lot of ways, and we really need to find ways to make it less racist and also less head injuries. But as a general concept,
we do need to make them less head injuries.
Yeah. Yes. As you can tell, my favorite sport is football, American football. But anyway, and this game addresses that a lot, so it's really cool. Anyway, then you go to an actual kind of dungeon in this game. You go to the forest. Yuna surprises everyone. She asks Goku to be her guardian. Waka literally is like, "Are you joking?" Waka says, "Tita's here. He's good at blitzball, but he's still a noob at fights." And I'm like, "Dude, he does more damage than you. Okay, he literally does more damage than you to the enemies."
And also, he's not using a blitzball to fight.
Yeah, maybe Waka could do more damage if he used an actual weapon.
So my favorite thing is for the Sin fight, you have to pretty much have Lulu and Waka in your team at all times, because they're the only ones that can do anything. And Lulu will be over there. She's like, "Yeah, fire spell level 1, whatever," and it's like 500 damage. And then Waka's like, "All right, I got this. This is my time to shine. Throw it, boop, 80 damage." She's like, "Go back to sleep, Waka."
It makes that kind of kickball thunk sound.
Thunk. I love the sound design of the blitzball. It's like you can tell like that shit is not doing a lot of damage. Like, again, like...
The fact that it's doing 190 damage at all is really impressive.
That just shows how strong Waka is. He's able to do that much damage with a fucking blunt, soft object.
I've been hit by kickballs before. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, he should get like a battle blitzball. Like it's got spikes on it or something. And then he catches it and it fucks up his hand, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, anyway, Yuna's, so after Waka is like, negs Goku and says he's not that good at fights, Yuna's like, "Well, okay, then not a guardian. I just want him nearby." And Goku's like, "I'm 12 and what is this?" He's legitimately like, "I don't understand what you're saying." She apologizes, and then he says, "I'm just not sure what's going on," which is how I also react.
Why does your alarm keep going on?
I'm sorry, you're right, I need to, well, I keep thinking I'm turning it off, but I guess I'm hitting snooze on accident, so let me actually address that problem.
It happens.
Got it. Anyway, he says, "I'm just not sure what's going on," which is also how I react when a girl likes me. Lulu is like, "This is a stupid conversation, let's discuss this later." In the forest, there's an optional boss. I kicked its ass. I overkilled it.
Is that the one in the middle?
Yeah, Lord Ochu.
Okay, I didn't realize it was optional because he's directly right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I just walked
he's
forward
literally right there. And...
I knew it was optional this time I played the game. I think the last 2 times I played the game, I just was not able to go around it because I was stupid, so, yeah.
I ran directly into it.
Yeah.
But it was fine.
Yeah, I ran into it because you come up around this one place and the Crusaders are there, and they're like, "We're gonna go check over here. You check over there." And I'm like, "Okay." And the direction they pointed was the boss, and I'm like, "I guess this is where I have to go."
I think I think the game's trying to tell you it's optional because they say like, "Oh, don't go that way. There's a big monster." But in most games, if someone says, "Don't go that way. There's a monster," that means you have to go that way and fight the monster. Yeah. In this game, I'm pretty sure that dialogue was supposed to be telling you that you actually didn't have to go fight it, but that's like goes against. It's like, yeah, but I played other games, so I'm misinterpreting this.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially because "don't go in there, Yuna's fine" twice was "I'm gonna go in there and make sure Yuna's okay."
Yes. That boss is kind of a pain in the ass though. He like poisons you and shit. Poison is rough in this game. Yeah, it hits hard. You got to deal with that shit. You can't just like, "Well, I'll just not bother depoisoning because I'll win the battle first." No, you need to depoison in this game.
Thankfully, Yuna doesn't have to do the because like white mages usually suck until around the Cura stage because the level 1 dispel spells all suck because it's like hyper specialized. But Yuna starts with the Suna, so she's great.
You may have noticed
pop her in.
You may have noticed by zooming around the sphere grid, this game has a significantly smaller ability and spell list than any other Final Fantasy game. They streamlined the hell out of it. They're like, wait, 90% of this shit is redundant or pointless. What if we made a game where you have maybe 20 spells and they're all actually designed to be good in the game and useful? it's a phenomenal work of restraint, I think. Yeah, so they consolidated all the different status effects into one, Esuna. It's like it takes an entire turn to use it. It better be good, right?
Yeah.
Also, her basic cure spell that she starts with is good. So, and she's gonna get cure up pretty fucking soon too, probably. So anyway,
yeah. On the other hand, this game's HP curve is higher than any other one I've ever done, and like you start the game where potions already suck. Like typically there's potions are OP for the first 5 levels, but no, like they start out the game already not healing.
Like literally the first cutscene, a potion, like literally the first tutorial battle in the game, a potion only does like a third of your health.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. It's quite weird actually. So anyway, you go to the end of the forest, and you have another boss. This boss, because it's a real boss, not optional, is more elaborate. It's like you're fighting Sin Spawn. So like a third of the bosses in this game are just Sin Spawn, but they take different forms. Basically, Sin can make little monsters shoot off of him, and turned out some of them, I guess earlier when Sin attacked Kilika, some Sin Spawn flew off of him and landed in this forest. This one's like a big tentacle monster. There's multiple targets.
I couldn't even remember this boss. This one was super easy. It went down in like a minute for me.
Yeah, you have to attack it so that it opens up its real weak point. It took me a little bit longer because again, I'm always committed to overkilling them. But it wasn't hard. But it was a fun little dramatic scene.
Yeah.
I believe that there is a cutscene I'm missing here. Let me look real fast.
I'm glad that you wrote the temple is kind of bullshit, because it is kind of bullshit.
It is kind of bullshit.
But so the scene basically is Lady Donna shows
no, sorry.
like...
Hold on, Sam. We'll get to that in a second. I actually meant the design of the temple is bullshit. But the part you're talking about is also bullshit. But hold on one second before we get there. Okay, no, we didn't miss anything important. So before we do that, let's meet Donna. So let me get back to the right thing. Sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but believe me, we'll get there. So when you get to the temple, there's this amazing scene with this new character named Donna. She's another summoner. So apparently, there are multiple summoners in this game, and they're not all as nice. They're not all as nice as Yuna.
Donna Summoner is a great singer. I love her.
Yeah. Some of them are Donald Sutherland. She seems like a careerist to me, like a politician who isn't really in politics for helping people, but in politics to advance their career and be famous, aka most of them. She has like this man, like she has like this boy toy basically. Her guardian is like literally this big dumb brute who can't talk in complete sentences, and she's definitely fucking him. Like come on. Anyway, they're just rude. Yuna handles it with phenomenal grace. If we have time, I'm going to talk about this scene later. But plot-wise, she handles it with grace. She basically says, Donna, please stop. Like, please leave. So then there's this scene that I thought it was brilliant until I realized it was actually not brilliant, but it was bullshit. So you go into the temple, and as usual, they say, Titus, you're not a guardian. Please wait here. We have to go in. And he's like, last time y'all were in there for 3 entire days. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here for 3 days? And they're like, Lulu's like, I don't care. So they leave. And then the player gets control. And you're in this tiny room. If you go backwards, nothing happens. You can't leave the room. If you go forward, it starts to trigger a cutscene. What I thought at this point, I thought, wait, what if at this point the player has a choice to either follow them or legitimately wait? I shit you not, I let the game run for 2 hours. Because I did a tiny bit of Googling to see if you could wait, but then after I did the Googling, I changed my mind and realized I didn't want to know. I didn't want to be spoiled. But my tiny bit of Googling gave me the impression that actually you could wait, and there was an alternate cutscene.
You have to wait 3 real-world days.
Here's the thing. If they had actually done that, that would have been the most brilliant shit I've ever seen.
That really would have.
It would have been... because that's like you learning the lesson. Like, no, this is like this is already a game where it makes you slowly go and build a fire. This is a game where it makes you engage in rituals. Y'all haven't played Lost Odyssey yet, but this is a Sakaguchi thing. In Lost Odyssey, there's a part where an important character dies, and there's like an hour-long scene where you simply collect the items and then do the necessary procedures for a funeral ritual.
Nice.
Like, it's just getting you in this game's world, getting you in their culture. So I legitimately thought that's what they were doing. Turns out that's not what they're doing. Doesn't matter how long you wait. There's not an alternate scene. But I'm thinking Tidus wouldn't go forward. Like, Tidus wouldn't. He's learned his lesson, right? So why would he? Turns out there's an explanation. If you walk forward, it triggers a cutscene. Walk forward as in walk toward the elevator to go into the temple. Mm-hmm. But in this cutscene, Tidus is like, well, I'm not going to go in there because they told me not to. And then Donna shows up behind you, and she gets her boy toy to grab you and throw you on the elevator, and then the elevator goes down. Here's the thing. I think it's a hilarious scene. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love the idea that Tidus was going to do the right thing because he has grown as a person since the last temple, but then gets fucked up. The problem is the player control. Because you trigger the cutscene by walking towards it, but the whole point of the cutscene is that Tidus wasn't going to go there.
Yeah, they should have just put the trigger on the other side of the hallway instead of making it a dead end. Walk towards the front, and they come in, push you back.
Yeah, or maybe here's a better idea: no trigger at all. Make it where you can run around and nothing happens, even if you run towards the elevator. Or maybe if you run towards the elevator, there's an invisible wall, or Tidus is like, no, I can't go. And then after like 2 minutes, it triggers.
Yeah.
So
the room was too small for 2 minutes. Like the waiting for the elevator is already 30 seconds.
Oh, that's
where
right.
Nothing happens, and that was excruciating.
Yeah.
So 2 minutes would have been too much.
You're right.
But
You're right. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a weird. It doesn't work because the player versus character connection doesn't work here. I just think they fucked it up. I don't think they did the scene the way they were meaning to, which is a shame. Because from a plot perspective, I think it's a great scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
My bullshit is.
Oh, I thought that's what you were going to talk about. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Go
on. My bullshit was the puzzles itself, which I know Eli was using a guide, and Maddie is smarter than me, so y'all probably didn't.
No. I agree. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I would have been incredibly frustrated if I hadn't had a guide because these puzzles are ridiculous.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the Twitch VOD, because I streamed it, you can see me stop, get frustrated, and literally ask Summer to Google it for me on her computer.
Here's the thing:
you gotta take an orb out, and then you gotta put it in a different spot, and then you gotta take an orb out of another spot and put it in that spot. You put it in. You took the first one out of, and then. It's just this big, shuffling around these orbs.
And the thing that had me stumped is they give you one of those movable platforms just for fun. It is not needed. But
you don't need to actually move it.
You then put a fireball in one hole, and it brings a glyph up. So if you have a fireball and a glyph ball, and you put in the fireball and a glyph is there, are you going to waste 10 minutes trying to put the glyph ball in the hole like I was? Yes, you will. Except what you're supposed to do is have no balls in your hands, and you just go and put your hand on it, and the door opens.
Wish I had no balls.
You can't use the same word if you mention glyphs, and a glyph ball is one of the things I have. I'm going to try every permutation of using the glyph ball, and not think to just put it down and put my hand.
We have overdrive and overkill. We should have.
So Sam.
Let's just put over in front of everything and make it even more needlessly confusing. Over glyph, over orb,
Apex, over legends.
Yeah.
Hey folks. So Sam, did you not get the extra treasure here?
I thought I got the destruction sphere. And I knew there was something with that because it didn't go anywhere else. But as I was looking for it, I accidentally triggered the cutscene.
Buddy, it is even more bullshit than you think. Okay, you said there's a movable power, a movable thing for no reason. Here's the bullshit. So, I'm a little bit smart sometimes. So, I'm trying my best, applying my best brain knowledge to this. You know how whenever in the last temple, there was a movable pedestal. And it's like, hey, if you fuck up, because you say you push it into a corner and then you can't get it out, right? It's like, hey, if you fuck up, step on the little shiny, twinkly dot, and that will reset it. And that was in the last temple. They established that in the last temple. In this temple, there's a movable pedestal. There's also a shiny, twinkly dot. So I'm figuring you got to move this thing, otherwise there wouldn't be a twinkly dot to reset it. It's got to be important. So I push it hither and yon. I just push it to till the cows come home, right? Turns out you have to push it onto the twinkly sparkle.
Oh, yeah.
That's not how that works.
But the twinkly sparkle is what you step on to reset it.
To reset it, yeah.
But no, you have to push it onto the Twinkly Sparkle, and then it's like an elevator, and it goes down, and it reveals a new door, and that's where you put the Destruction Sphere, and that's how you get the item.
That's right.
It's horseshit.
That's so much horseshit.
That was one of the times where I was like, I'm glad I have a guide, and I don't pay attention to mechanics.
I had to look up the guide, but it was only after, like, 30 minutes of running around.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Anyway, it's fucking stupid. The temples in this game, honestly, I feel like they do get better. Right now, it's like they're introducing the mechanics, so just nothing makes any sense. Later, once all the mechanics are actually introduced, you get some puzzles where it's more just like figuring out how to use mechanics you've already learned to do the puzzles. Thank God they get a little bit... I remember there being one or two that are actually pretty fun. Anyway, you get to the end of the temple. There's nothing super important here. You were going through the temple because Yuna needed to get Ifrit. She needed to get her next summon. And she does. She goes into the chamber. She does her convening with, like, the gods or whatever. And she comes out and she's like, bam, bitches, got a new summon. It's Ifrit, Fire, from the Final Fantasy series that you all know and love.
You had mentioned when we first recorded this, you're like, there's no Ifrit, there's no Ra.
I was just wrong.
Like, there's an Ifrit.
I guess I was getting confused with Final Fantasy 12. Also, Valefor is new. And a couple of the ones in this game are new, but it also does have the classic FF ones. Like, you're going to see Shiva. But I do know that the bestest one in the whole game is a new one, which is cool. Anyway, after this point, nothing in particular happens. You go back and you get on the boat to Luca, right? Yeah, it's kind of cool. They're like, yeah, no, we're here. We're going to the next scene. Why would we have a 10-minute cutscene for no reason? This is Final Fantasy X.
You were going to say we're here, we're queer.
Yeah,
and now we're over there.
I was going to say, except I feel like everyone in this game is tragically heterosexual. Okay, not Lulu. Lulu is definitely bisexual. Anyway, so
Yuna's actually got the bisexual haircut too.
That's true. So anyway, next there is a very important scene. In this important scene, you're on the boat to go to Luca. And unlike the last boat scene, it's not like a ton of super important stuff happens. They mostly hang out on the boat. You talk with people. They say random shit. It doesn't matter. That's it. There is one very important scene, though. You walk up to... There's a blitzball standing sort of, kind of like conspicuously in the middle of the boat.
I forgot about this mini game. I laughed my ass off.
And you walk up to the boat, and and Goku realizes he's remembering that his dad had this super amazing move called the Ject Shot. Although you don't learn that till later, which is another funny, very subtle bit of writing here.
Nope, you can learn it here.
No. I mean, you don't learn that it's called the Ject Shot.
No, you learn it in the hallway that I didn't get to talk about, even though I talked about it twice already. One of the NPCs is like, "Are you going to do the Ject Shot tonight?" Like, I know that you learned it from your dad. Like, it was something I knew from the very beginning.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, anyway, maybe it depends on whether you talk to an NPC or not. But anyway.
Well, and it's called the Ject Shot once.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyway, so you get to this cutscene where he's remembering how his dad had this amazing shot. And Tidus is basically like, it's a flashback of Tidus trying to do it, but he fucks it up. And his dad just laughs at him and says, "You'll never be as good as me. You suck. I can't believe you've been trying to do this amazing shot that I'm famous for." You know,
to be fair, Tidus wasn't trying to do that. He was just trying to kick the ball, and he kept Charlie Browning. Okay. And then his dad is like, "You suck so bad. Okay. Watch how good I am. So, you really suck."
So at this point, though, you have a funny little mini game where I love how what makes it funnier is that it is the tutorial that explains it. The tutorial shows up, and it's like, "Hey, player, Tidus is about to attempt the Ject Shot. While he attempts it, words of abuse from his abusive father are going, or like disruptive negative ideations are going to appear on the screen. Press the joystick in the direction of the negative thoughts and ideations, and press the X button to destroy them and ignore them." They're trying to distract Tidus from doing the shot. It like explains it almost that literally.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, so literally there's a cutscene where Tidus is trying to do the shot, and while it's happening, literally from the various corners of the screen are lines like, "You'll never do it. You'll never be as good as me. You're worthless." And it's and the words appear on the screen, and then also you hear Ject saying those things. And yeah, you sort of Like, if it appears in the top right, you hit the joystick to the top right and hit X. If it appears in the middle, you just hit X without doing anything. And if you do that enough, then the cutscene completes successfully, and Tidus does the eject shot, and it's amazing, and then you learn it.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
I wish I could get better at various things just by pressing directional pad.
Also, F1. Yeah, seriously.
What if that's
who needs
how
therapy when you can just? Who needs therapy when you can just press the directional key in the direction of the negative thoughts and destroy them?
Yeah. Like, oh, my dad's voice and all his berating is coming from every corner of where I can hear from. I'm just gonna go over to that and
punch it.
I don't know where I'm going.
My mom's like, my mom's all like, just because you're really sensitive doesn't mean you're a girl, and I'm like, X, 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 and I just destroy them, and then I feel better.
And now you're more girl than ever.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about that.
Enough.
Oh, one very important thing though. So Yuna is watching, and Yuna sees Tidus do that amazing shot, and she goes, "Wow, that's amazing. What's that called?" And he goes, "He doesn't have a name." And here's why that's brilliant. You know it's called the Eject shot. And Tidus knows it's called the Eject shot. So he tells Yuna it doesn't have a name, which I think is like the biggest fuck you to his dad, which is extremely funny. Also, at some point, I think this might be later, you learn that it's actually called the Eject shot Mark II, and his dad literally... Mark III. His dad literally called it that.
It's like the ultimate incredible, amazing Eject shot Mark III.
Yeah, that's the full name. Turns out, Jack literally just called it Mark III as a marketing gimmick because he wanted people to think that there was a Mark I and a Mark II.
It's so good.
Which is pretty awesome, actually. I'm like, okay, Jack is kind of cool. He's a bad person. He's like so pompous, but he's like good. He's a good businessman at least. Anyway,
I hate him already.
Yeah,
anyway,
he's nasty.
Off to Luca for a bunch of important cutscenes and walking about 5 feet so that you trigger the next cutscene.
Luca is a big. It is town. It is beautiful. It has stupendously good music.
It really does.
It's upbeat. It's got a weird trumpet part. Funny thing is, you see Luca in a in a FMV, and it's huge and beautiful. You never actually go into Luca, or at least you do, but only a little bit. You spend most of what is quote unquote Luca in this game is actually a dock, where all the ships dock, and then a stadium where you play blitzball. Then you can briefly go into actual Luca, but it's like one screen. It's like one loading zone of city, and that's a cool way of being like, yeah, this city is outrageously big, but we're not going to actually put every, we don't have the budget or the programming power to put all that in the game. So you just go to the stadium and the dock, and then you see the rest of the city, right? Yeah. Which is, I always think that kind of thing's smart. Anyway, a lot happens here. You keep walking 2 seconds and seeing a cutscene, right? The first thing you do is you find out that this dude that shows up, name is... Oh, first of all of the teams are showing up. The Besaid Orux, the Kilika whatevers, the Luca Goers. So I'm like, is she a Goa? Does she go?
Dumb name.
Say no more, wink, 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 nudge, nudge. She a Goa. So they all have...
Do you like photographs?
Candid photography. That's all I can think of. So anyway, there's like a couple...
I didn't even think of that. I wish I'd done that on my Let's Play.
They're all goers. They like to go. Anyway, all the teams are there, and the announcer is so biased. The announcer is like, all the teams are showing up. Oh, here's the whatevers. Here's the Kilika whatevers. Here's the whatevers. Oh, it's the Luca Goers. Hell yeah, we love them. They're the best. Oh, here's the Besaid Orux. They suck ass.
The announcers are my favorite. First of all, one of them is voiced by Tom Kenny.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Tom Kenny is SpongeBob SquarePants. Secondly, their names are Baba and Jimma.
Yeah.
They've tried to fantasy up the names Bob and Jim.
It's so good.
And I love it.
Yeah. The announcers...
And these guys are like, they're like total assholes to anyone who isn't Luca, basically.
Yeah, because the tournament's happening at Luca, and it's Luca's team, and they are not going to even try to not be biased, and like they're just like talking about how much the Besaid Orux suck ass.
Yeah, they talk about how it's a statistical improbability that the Aurochs would lose every single game.
Yeah, they're like, they're so bad it doesn't even seem like statistically likely that the team could be this bad.
Yeah.
What's cool is Tidus being Tidus. It's cool. You see so many times he grows and changes, but then other times he does dumb, immature shit. But it's like, on the other hand, it's like cool and I respect him. Anyway, Tidus literally like grabs someone's megaphone and jumps up on top of a stack of crates and yells like, "Hey, all you whatevers! The Besaid Aurochs are gonna win the cup this year." And, like, everyone in the docks is looking at him like, who is this kid from the Besaid Aurochs, and why is he saying they're going to win this year? And it's actually a really great scene, and Yuna is very impressed by this. Whereas Waka is like, dude,
I'm like, they're not going to win because I'm going to have to play.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Waka is like, dude, shut the fuck up. How are you telling everyone we're going to win? We're clearly not going to win. Why are you doing this? You're just going to make us get even more embarrassed than we already are. But I think it's a great scene. Then someone finds out that some person named Maester Mika has shown up. And Yuna is like, Tidus, come with me to go see Maester Mika. And you go together, and there's an awkward scene where he teaches her how to whistle, and she can't whistle at first. And then he teaches her how to whistle, and she's like, okay, if we ever get separated, just whistle, and I'll be there for you. It's supposed to be, like, sweet, like, I'll always be there for you, but it's just kind of weird. Whatever. But it's important to mention. And that's because there's a really thick crowd. So he's like, if we get separated in this crowd, please whistle, so I'll find you. Anyway, turns out Maester Mika is the Pope. Maesters are the religious and political leaders of Spira, it seems like to me. And he's 1 billion years old. And as far as I know, he doesn't molest children or cover up molestation of children, but you never know.
He's Nicodemus from The Rats and Nim.
I haven't seen that in a very long time, so I don't remember, but you're probably right.
It's free on YouTube with ads.
Oh, badass.
Nice.
Unless you have uBlock Origin, in which case you don't have the ads.
Nice. So Master Mika is like, hello, we're all gathered here today to play a sport and honor God, or whatever the fuck. He's great. And Yuna is starstruck. She's like, again, it'd be like if a little altar boy, or like, it'd be like if a priest in training in like a redneck town saw the Pope, right? But then another maester shows up, Maester Seymour. Maester Seymour is a mother.
Sephiroth, but with 3.
Yeah, so if you're wondering, is this actually the villain of the game? Good job. You figured it out.
He's got that weird villain hair.
He's got real stupid hair. Like,
I hate his hair.
Look, I'm actually a fan of Tetsuya Nomura. I don't think he sucks. I think he's brilliant and also a weird, insane person. I legitimately do think his FF10 designs are often not actually good. I don't actually like Seymour's design, and not even in like a he's stupid on purpose way. It's like, no, I just think he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's
also got weird blue veins on his forehead.
Yeah, so it turns out he's a Guido. He's like, hey, I'm walking here.
What's the matter, you?
He's like, Luca, the Big Apple. Forget about it. No, he's a Guado, which apparently is another species in this game. So far we've got humans. We've got Al-Bhed, which pretty much just look like humans, except they have weird eyes. You actually only vaguely find this out. I think you find this out very shortly, actually. The thing about Al-Bhed is they use machines. Machines are considered not allowed in this world, but they do use them. So they experience prejudice because of that. I think they also do have physical characteristics. It's one of those things where it's both a race and a group, right? You've got Guados, who I don't know what their deal is yet. All we know is that Seymour is one, and they might have weird blue veins. They're like they're elves.
I mean, every race is just a human, but with slightly different features.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek.
I guess have weird veins on their heads and also impossible hair.
So I know that they're rosary beads, but I like to imagine that Seymour's big old necklace thing is a zipper, and that's what a Guado is he's just wearing a human suit.
Oh my god, that's fucked up. And then finally, we do have Ronso, which are the furries. So those are the races in this game. It's like Star Trek again. They're all humans, but slightly different. And as you might expect, yeah, this world's got some racism sometimes. We'll figure that out later. Although they don't get super into it. I think it's mostly just anti-Al-Bhed racism, and that's combined with like religious disagreement, right? Like it usually is. So anyway, Maester Seymour shows up. I don't know. Does he say anything important, or does he just show up and he's like, "I'm Maester Seymour"?
So I'm following along since we're out of notes. I'm following along on the Let's Play archive. Don't go to it. This guy is sexist. Don't give him any clicks. I'm just doing it because he has a lot of screenshots.
Yeah.
But Seymour just shows up, and Waka is just like, wow, it's so cool. And Titus looks over at Yuna and is like, wow, Yuna really cares about this. And Waka's just like, whatever, let's just go and have a match.
Yep.
So
we
go
the funny
learn
thing.
how to blitzball. Blitzball
earlier,
is a lot.
Oh yeah. So here's the funny thing. We were giving ourselves 2 hours for this since it was a double length episode / birthday party, and I think we actually blasted through too fast.
No, we're almost out of time.
What time are we at?
The recorder should say 134, but we're only on the plot and not the memorable moments or the QA.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Like anyway, there's only a few important plot things left, is what I'm getting at. So
yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So you go on, and the only important things here are you explore the town a lot, and then you learn how to blitzball, and they build it up a lot. They take the blitzball thing very, very slowly and seriously. They dramatically build it up. But just as you're about to, and they do a tutorial, teach you how to play. And just as
and it's a long ass tutorial.
Yeah, oh my god. It turns out that you got seeded. So you only have to win 2 games to win the entire tournament. You have to beat some other team, and then you have to beat the final match, which is probably going to be against the Goers because they're the best, right?
The Goers.
But as luck would have it, or as unfortunately would have it, right as the first match is about to start, Yuna really wants to go do something. I forget what. That's right. You find out that
someone saw Orin.
You find out that some bloke named Orin is here, and Yuna's like, I know Orin, and Goku's like, what? And she's like, Orin was another one of my dad's guardians. My dad had 2 guardians, Jekt and Orin. Goku's like, that's weird. So she's like, I gotta go find Orin. Please come with me. So you run off, and Waka's like, the game's about to start, dude. He's like, I'll be back. It's fine. Spoiler alert, it's not fine.
It's not fine at all.
You go to find Orin, and then, weirdly enough, Yuna, you turn around for 2 seconds, and Yuna gets kidnapped. She gets kidnapped by the Al-Bhed, which it's interesting because later this game deals with like people being racist against the Al-Bhed, but your introduction to them is them being nasty villains who kidnapped Yuna. So way to make me already think that they're bad, even though they experience a lot of racism. So you have to go on a weird little mini dungeon where you run through the town, but now there's monsters. And the whole time the game is happening, so it'll cut across to the game of Blitzball happening.
So it's also important to note they kidnapped Yuna because they were using her as leverage for the Blitzball game.
Yeah. So they say they got to throw the game.
They told Waka he had to throw the game or else they were going to hurt Yuna.
Which seems a little stupid because, again, this is the worst team in the history of Blitzball. Why should they have to kidnap someone to force them to lose? Anyway, maybe they just knew that Titus was really good. So anyway, yeah, so you're like, oh shit, like there's actually a scene where they're actually like 1 point behind and they actually could win because they're doing well, but they can't win because of this, right? Anyway, you go through a little dungeon, you go to the Al-Bhed's ship, and you fight a big robot boss. You fight Marks and Engels from the beginning of Nier Automata. There's another little gimmicky thing that I won't bother explaining. You do it, it's not hard. And you rescue Yuna. Cool thing, after you beat the boss, Yuna herself comes out of the door of the boat because apparently she kicked everyone's ass and escaped on her own.
It's really cool.
And you're like, cool, let's go. Lulu then sends up a big firework, and the big firework, Waka sees it from the game and realizes, oh, they rescued Yuna, and then they win.
Yay!
It's awesome. They win their game, first game they've won in a gazillion years. You then rush back to the what do you call it, to the locker room, and you're like, I'm so sorry, I left. I had to rescue Yuna from villains. And Waka's like, I am so beat, I cannot play any more sports. So he tags in for Titus. And then you, the player, play your first game of Blitzball. How did that go for y'all?
I hate it. I hate every moment of it.
I wish that I had a little bit more control than I do, and I wish it didn't take forever. Because, like, I'll be juking and jiving and have plenty of time. And you press square, and it stops you, waits for 5 seconds, and then brings up your menu. So, in which case, every time I got caught, which was stupid and annoying. But I almost won, but then I lost, and I was like, should I do this again? I looked it up, and you only get a strength sphere, and I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
So I just let it go.
The only real reason to win in this game is for plot reasons. Obviously,
I actually. Oh, sorry.
Go on. What?
I actually did win my game.
Nice. Good job.
I can't believe I did. We went into overtime.
Me too.
The overdrive, overkill, overtime. Because they kept scoring on me, and then like they would score a point, and then I would score a point, and then they scored a point, and then I scored a point, like right as the timer ended. It was like, yay, we tied, nobody loses. Overtime. Fuck.
Yeah. Then I finally win, and all I get is go on.
Oh no, it's okay. Jack's shot and Waka's venom shot are both really good.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get the ball to Tidus and Waka as much as possible. Tidus actually tags Waka back in at one point. So
yeah. I also went into overtime and I won, and then all I got was a strength sphere, and I was thinking, so this is the thanks I get for working overtime. Here's the thing. This is the first that's all you get to play. Unlike later games, after this point it becomes a minigame you can do anytime you want. But the point is that you can actually develop your team. You can scout the land for people to join your team. You can pay them a salary to play on your team. You can develop their skills. There's all this planning that goes into it. This battle, you don't get any planning. You get what they give you. And what they give you is a not very good team with 2-star players. I think it's very important design-wise that this battle is hard as shit. Because this fight, the plot goes on whether you win or lose, and I actually like it either way. So if you win, it's a little unrealistic, but it's also cool because Waka gets to have his big moment. Everyone's really excited. Yeah, so Tidus plays, but halfway through, the crowd is chanting they all want Waka, which is cool. Even though he loses every single game, apparently the crowd loves him. He's their hero because of how resilient he is. So Tidus realizes, I'm just some new guy. I just got here. This really isn't about me. So he goes and he calls time. He swims off, and he says, "Waka, have you recovered? Have you recovered from exerting yourself too much before? Okay, cool. Let's tag out." So then for the now he could have just tagged out for he could have swapped in one of the other people for Waka.
Yeah, especially because in the cutscene. I was
thinking that too. I was like, can we get rid of Letty or something?
The cutscene before, whatever the guy's name that starts with D is, he's like, oh, cool, so I get to sit out this one, and we get to put our 2 best players in the game, and Waka was like, nah, Tidus will come in and I'll leave, and I'm like, that's bad. Like, this is why you lose.
Well, Waka had
to sit out before
because he was too exhausted, right? But yeah, at this point, anyway, maybe Tidus was just wanting to make sure that Waka got the limelight, which is really good of him. Anyway, whether you win or lose, the cutscene is essentially the same. Waka, after everyone else leaves the stadium, Waka is just sitting there floating in the middle of the ball, and he's like, you can tell he's exhausted, and you can tell he's like very, very satisfied and like deeply happy, whether you win or lose.
If he could have a cigarette under the water, he would.
Yeah, and Waka and he just looks at him like, "Are you okay?" And Waka just gives him a thumbs up. It's a really, really great scene. And then everything goes to shit. A bunch of fiends show up, right? And they're like, wait, but Luca isn't even on the... Luca is on the coast, but they're like... Okay, so brief little bit of world building. Luca, it's not very common that a really, really huge city exists on the coast. Because if you're on the coast, you're going to get destroyed by sin. Yeah. The only reason Luca... First of all, the reason they don't just take the whole city and push it somewhere else is because you've got to have port cities for commerce. Turns out Luca is extremely heavily guarded at all times by technology, by guardians, by whatever. That's why the one big city can actually exist. But fiends somehow got through the defenses and are attacking everybody. And there's a cool thing where it like cross cuts between different characters. Arwen shows up to save people.
It's so cool. Like before Tidus knows that Arwen is actually there, because like when you're going and try to find him earlier, none of it works, and you don't ever find him. But now you get to play Orin before you meet him in the party, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it literally just the characters are like, oh no, there's fiends, and then all of a sudden it cuts to Orin, and there's not even any dialogue. Orin's just off on another place fighting fiends.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah, so it's cool. You fight monsters. Not a whole lot happens. There's way too many. It's like there's way too many of them. We can't possibly deal with this. You fight a bunch of big ones, but there's more and more and more. You fight a boss, and then after you defeat the boss, like 5 more of that boss just show up. Mm-hmm. And then what should happen? But we have FMV. Seymour is in the middle of the stadium on the big throne, actually, where like the important people get to sit. He's in the box seats, and he's a summoner, so he does his summon. And in case you didn't think he was the villain, his summon is not Ifrit, a cool fire monster, or Valifor, a heroic winged beast. His monster is like the most obviously evil thing on the planet. It's like this giant chained up Kingdom Hearts looking ass.
It's like a straight jacket mermaid mummy.
Yeah, it's
in a giant Venus flytrap. That's.
I think the first thing I said was, "What the hell is he doing to that Murloc?"
To that Murloc.
Yeah, it's a really fucked up monster. It's like a very H.R. Geiger kind of thing.
Oh, that was it. It's like if you put Murlocs in Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Like in D3, there's these big chained up guys with like blindfolds on, and they're struggling around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is a Diablo 3 monster.
And they never explained this in the game, and I don't think this is actually part of the plot, but I feel like you kind of still get the feeling that maybe summons are kind of like Patronuses, you know, they are somehow related to the person summoning them. So Seymour having this one is like, does Maester Mika see that Seymour's summon is evil? Is he aware of this? It also is huge. It's like 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And what it does to destroy all the monsters in the entire stadium, it literally just looks at them with its one big exposed eye, and its eye like puts out a laser, and then the monsters explode into blood. So it does that like 50 times, and it like howls in pain when it does this. So it just destroys all the monsters, and then
if after all this Seymour turned out to be a good guy, that would be kind of amazing.
It would be. I will not spoil it. For the record, me saying he's obviously the bad guy, that's just because that's what you're obviously thinking at this point, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would not actually spoil who the bad guy is, but he clearly seems at this point.
He's a good guy. He's just very, very, goth.
Yeah. So anyway, he saves the day, and everyone's like, that was fucked up, but I guess we're done. And at this point, there's not a whole lot left. All that really happens is everyone kind of like reconvenes. And then, so they all go in one direction. And Tidus is like, I'm going to go get Orin. Also Tidus and Waka have to fight in the water again. You know, whatever, it happens, right? So Tidus is like, I'm going to go get Orin. So Tidus and Orin have a moment together, and this is where the game's third foot drops. I don't remember how this happens exactly, but it's a pretty long scene. Tidus is like, how the hell did you get here? Orin is like, shut up and just follow me. All will be explained in time. Tidus is like, that's stupid. Why are you being mysterious? Why don't you just tell me? And then Orin says, dude, that big monster, Sin, is your dad. And Tidus is like, extremely upset by this information. Orin doesn't,
as he should be.
Orin doesn't explain the mechanics of this, but yeah, earlier when I joked about Jekt being the eyes of God, yeah, that's because Jekt is in this game you do the cliche everything of killing God and also killing your dad, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's just efficient.
Basically, Tidus at this point, Tidus obviously doesn't like Sin, and he obviously likes Yuna, and he wants to help Yuna, but he doesn't consider himself necessarily part of the story. But now he's like, okay, this is weird. Like, I have these huge dad issues, and I've been wanting to confront my dad for 10 years, and now, in order to confront my dad, I have to literally fight God and save the world with these people. That's how I have to confront my dad, is by confronting this monster that has been terrorizing me the last 10 hours of this game. All he ever does is show up and murder everybody, and that's my dad. It's all my issues personified, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's the plot of the game.
Pretty much.
You talk with Orin about it, and he's like, yeah. Turns out what happened was, Orin I think it's like this. I think Arn is actually originally from Spira, and Jecht got transported into Spira 10 years ago. Jecht met up with Auron and with Lord Braska, and they went on the journey to defeat Sin. At some point, something goes wrong, I guess, and for some reason that's not explained, now instead of defeating Sin, Jecht became Sin, or got absorbed, maybe absorbed into Sin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like his soul is trapped inside of this monster, but somehow he's also gained control of the monster, maybe? Who knows? Whatever. They don't really explain...
It's the blue ending of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
He tried to control it and became it
yeah,
instead.
So they don't explain the metaphysics of it. But apparently before he died, got absorbed, whatever, he asked Auron to go back to Zanerkind and get Tidus.
Mm-hmm.
And Tidus is like, why? Why the fuck would my dad force me to come 1,000 years in the future and have this awful adventure? Like, that's a shitty thing to do. Is he just trying to torment me even more from beyond the grave? And Auron maybe knows the answer to this, maybe doesn't. And he's just like, shut up, you dumb kid. And yeah, so then you go and you meet up with your friends. And you meet up with your friends and you have...
the best scene.
The scene in the game. I legitimately had intended for us to originally not talk about this until next week because I thought, why? Let's save it for next time. It's going to take too long to talk about. You've probably heard of this scene. It's the laughing scene.
It's so good.
So you show up, and you're on this stairs, and you're about to go up to the next area. You're leaving Luca to walk on over land, not on a boat this time, to the next temple. First of all, Auron shows up, and he's like, yo, can I be your guardian? And Yuna's like, absolutely, you can be my guardian. He's like, hey, Tidus is your guardian too now. And she's like, okay, absolutely, I'm on board. We're all guardians here, we're good. And then they talk about how... one thing that's important is that no one knows that Sin is Jecht except for Tidus and Auron. They don't tell anybody. And Tidus maybe intuits that if Auron wanted other people to know, he would tell them, right? So anyway, all the adults in the room start going up the stairs, because it really is like they're all the adults, and Tidus and Yuna are like the kids. They leave Tidus and Yuna behind. And Tidus is fucked up at this point. He's like... the seriousness of the situation, the drama, all the death, it's really getting to him. He's depressed. And Yuna can tell. And she's like, dude, you gotta smile. She's like, bitch, smile more. Right? to Tidus.
It's actually in the reverse. She's smiling, and he's like, how can you smile? And she's like, oh, I giggle at the ghosties and guffaw at the grosslies.
Yeah. Basically, she's saying, I put on a brave face because that's my job is to bring people happiness.
Yeah.
And she's like, try it. So try smiling. And she literally like makes him force a smile, and it's like, it looks extremely stupid. And it looks extremely stupid, and she laughs at him like, you're okay, you look like a dummy. And then she's like, try laughing. And who laughs first? Her or him?
He does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he looks off into the distance. They're on a hill overlooking Luca, and she's like, try laughing. And he goes, okay, fine, I guess. So he looks off and he yells,
and he actually sounds angry when he's laughing.
Yeah.
His first time.
And it's, I'll always remember, it's always 7. It's 7 laughs. Ha 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 ha. Pause. Ha 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 ha. Sam, you should splice it in. It's so fucking good. And then
and that, of course, so there is where everyone's like, that's the worst scene. But then they forget that the point of the thing is she's like, I am really sad, so I fake smiling, and then I feel happier because I'm fake smiling, and I get my body ready to smile. So when you fake laugh, it's then so stupid that you start to laugh for real, and then they cut back to the fact that these are professional voice actors, and they start like actually laughing together, and it's a super sweet scene, and it's, hey, we actually cheered ourselves up. Remember when we just did a funeral for an entire city, and I just realized that my dad is the evil god of this place. We needed this laugh. It's so good. It is the best scene in the game.
It's a great
scene. I
scene.
haven't even played the rest of it.
I legitimately just think that this scene became famous for being bad because a couple of YouTubers don't understand literature and thought it was stupid, and then spread the information that it was stupid. I hate YouTube.
I found the original, like the one that went, the video that went viral on YouTube, and it didn't even cut out the context. People still stared straight in the face of the context, and were just like, "This is still stupid." Somehow.
Yeah. So after him doing a few rounds of laughing, Yuna joins him, and then they're both scream laughing off into the distance. But the funniest thing is they start laughing for real, and then Yuna delivers again. Like, if you haven't picked up on the point of the scene yet, Yuna explains it here. She laughs, and then she looks at him and she goes, "You probably shouldn't laugh anymore." And then there's a cut
for the love of all that's holy, stop laughing.
And then there's a cut to the adults who are like, again, like 100 feet away, looking at them like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? Y'all are stupid."
And Tidus even says, "What are you looking at?" And Wonka's like, "We just wanted to make sure you guys hadn't gone crazy."
Yeah. It's an outrageously good scene. And I love everything about it. Yeah, so that's where we end for the day. We now know basically every single point of the plot. Every one of our party members except one has joined. We know the stakes. We know we're on a journey to defeat Sin, even though people keep defeating Sin and he keeps not going away. We don't really understand that yet, but we're going to go to all the temples. We're going to have fun. We're going to hang out. We're going to learn about this world. Tidus is going to grow as a person. Yuna's going to continue being the best. Tidus is going to kill his dad, which is almost as good as getting therapy. and they're gonna save the day. So yeah, thanks for joining us for 2 weeks worth of Final Fantasy X. Let's go to our memorable moments. Eli, what are your memorable moments from? Remember, both portions.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what I had as my memorable moments for the first, and I apologize for that.
Okay, it was a long-ass time ago.
It's been a long time. Many eons have passed.
1,000 years.
It's been 1,000 years, yeah. So I got way too close to Sin. Every day of my life.
Same.
My memorable moments from the most recent, though, I love when they save Yuna, and she comes out of the big machine, and Lulu goes, "I hope you hurt them."
Yeah,
yes,
it's so good.
Lulu is quiet, but every line is great.
A little.
She's the best.
She says it so coy, like.
And then there's something else that happens that they say, and Lulu goes. Lulu says, "Don't tell Waka," and Tidus immediately goes, "I have to tell Waka."
Yeah.
And he's talking about the Blitzball game, but Lulu's like, "I told you not to tell Waka."
That's so good.
Literally.
Like, immediately afterwards.
Goku is, again, Tidus is literally a golden retriever. Don't tell Waka. I gotta tell Waka.
I gotta tell Waka. But yeah, that's Lulu is by far my favorite character. They're all great though. I'm really enjoying them all. And I did make some Tidus seems whiny comments at first, but I do agree that he's just like considering all that he's going through, he's handling it very gracefully.
Yeah. It's really good. All right, so I have 2 that I want to do. No, we'll do 3 because I already talked about the one I wasn't going to talk about. So
just so you know, I basically don't really have much at all except a few funny lines, so you can take some time.
Okay. So in the Chocobo room on the boat, when you talk to the lady, she explains like, "Oh, Machina are illegal, so we use Chocobo power instead." But then if you talk to her again, she goes, "La la 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 la."
Which I guess that means that even diegetically in this universe, this is the Chocobo song. I guess.
For some reason, you get on the Chocobo and that song just gets stuck in your head, and you don't know where.
This is like the baby shark. This is the baby shark of Spira.
Yeah. And then there's another one when you get to Luca and you come down from the inn or whatever where you are. There's a kid running around and you go and talk to him, and he's hard to catch. So like I chased him for a little bit, and I finally caught him. And you talk to him. He goes, "I'm going to be a blitzball when I grow up."
I had that one on my list too.
I missed that. That's hilarious because my uncle, when he was a kid, used to tell people that he was going to be a baseball.
Oh my gosh.
That's so good. And so the one we mentioned earlier, I forgot the setup. I took it out of context for the memorable moments. But Waka says something, and he's real emphatic. And Lulu's just like, and whose fault is that? And he goes, not mine, ... It is mine, huh? And it's so good. But yeah, that's all that I really had. I had a lot from last week, but we're running behind.
Who cares?
And none of them from last week, I think, really are worth bringing up in the overall consciousness of the 2 episodes.
Exactly. I have just a couple. I have one important scene and then a couple little stupid lines, like wanting to be Blitzball when you grow up. When you're running around talking to random NPCs, there's 2 NPCs who are talking about who they are going to root for in the tournament. And one of the girls is like, I hope that the Al Bhed team wins. And the other girl goes, ew, why would you want to root for the Al Bhed? You really do have bad taste. And I'm like, damn, that shit's racist. And then the other lady goes, I like how they cover up their faces. It's just so sexy and mysterious. And I'm like, oh, we've got like the 2 kinds of racism. There's like the racism where you don't like someone, and there's the racism where you like weirdly exoticize and fetishize them.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually pretty good writing. If you win the game, Waka has the biggest trophy you've ever seen, and he just carries it around in a scene. And I'm like, are they going to address that he has this trophy? And then eventually he gives it to one of the other people to take back to the stage.
That's not a trophy. That's a butt plug.
And it's the same size as Waka's dick. The actual scene I want to talk about, and there's of course a lot of great scenes, but the one I want to talk about is the scene with Yuna and whatever her ass name is, the bad lady who's a jerk, Donna. When you get to the scene with Yuna and Donna, Donna is like, Yuna, summoner. And she basically makes fun of her. She's like, she's like, who's this rabble? You have so many guardians. She's like, most people only have 1 or 2 guardians. I value quality over quantity. And then Yuna responds with the most amazing line. She goes, I only have as many guardians as I have people I can trust. And I am, like, very happy to be... She's like, I love each and every one of them and am blessed. And she goes, I consider it an honor to have this many guardians. And the cool thing is, she's not actually trying to dunk on Donna, but maybe she realized that it does. So after then, so the literal entire line is she's like, I only have as many guardians people I can consider friends. It is an honor to have this many guardians. Oh, but I would never question your way of doing things. and that's not passive aggressive. She's not actually dunking. Like, she's like, but on the other hand, like, I would never want to insult you and your way of doing things, so you do you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Yuna is a fucking angel, basically. Really like, that is it's one of the most incredible dialogue exchanges that her character has in the whole game. And again, like, that sounds sarcastic. You have to watch the scene to realize she's not being sarcastic. And she completely defuses the situation. And Donna just leaves, and it's like, wow, Yuna like literally does not even have any anger or bitterness towards Donna, even though Donna is terrible. There's a couple more scenes that are similar to that, also all involving Yuna, but that is the main one. Yuna kicks ass. As far as
another one like that, that's really good from the first time when you're leaving the Besaid temple, she has a whole bunch of luggage with her, and Lulu's like, you can't bring all that luggage, and Yuna's like, put their gifts for the other temples, and Lulu talks her out of it, but even right before she leaves, Yuna looks over her shoulders like, is it worth it to still bring presents for everybody? And she's an angel. I love her.
Yeah. She's super good. So that is it for this week. I am so freaking sorry. I don't know where we're going to next week. I'll figure it out really soon.
I can see what Scoots did and give us an approximation.
Okay.
So QA, we're running a little late, so we're just going to do one from the people who are at school, because they all threw in some QA since they couldn't be here. So our good friend Desert Stream, the JRPG goddess herself, asks, what's your favorite board game and what's your favorite card game? She said, and why, but I have a lot of words, so my why is in the Discord. It's really long, so I won't go into it here.
Board game, I guess my favorite board game is Monopoly, just because there's so many different iterations of it, and if you play it right, it's not the world's longest game. Aaron from Game Grumps actually had a rant about this on one of his episodes recently, and I agree with him entirely. If you don't play with free parking house rules, the game lasts 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Because people run out of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you put things that you pay for into free parking, that money's just getting recirculated into the economy, and it fucks up the monopoly dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I like collecting Monopoly boards. I like the aesthetic of them. Mm-hmm. I like the gameplay. It's fun to torment my partner or friends with, shady business practices and things like that. Things that I would never do in the real world. And then my favorite card game, I haven't played a whole lot. See, I haven't played a whole lot of either board games or card games because I don't really have people to play with. Most of the people that I do things with are online.
Yeah. All games should have an app. The end.
Yeah.
Was there clapping happening there?
I guess my favorite is a Pokemon card game, but I mean, playing something like Cards Against Humanity with people that I really, really, really trust and know aren't making fun of me or actually like terrible people is super fun.
Yeah.
But I played a ton of the Pokemon TCG when I was a kid, and it's changed a lot since then because they've added like EX cards, and all kind of other bullshit. But I do still really like to collect Pokemon cards, even if I don't play the game actively anymore. I like having kind of a physical Pokédex.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I've still got all my binders of cards, and every now and then I'll pick up some packs of Pokemon cards still and get excited or very disappointed.
Nice.
My favorite board game is Android by Fantasy Flight, and I like it so bad because it's like 15 games in one, but I'll focus on the two of them. It is D&D meets Clue, but instead of in Clue, there's a logical answer to find out who actually was the bad guy. But that's not what you do in Android. In Android, you all play dirty cops. So you, at the very beginning, you draw what your hunch is, and then you drum up enough evidence to send your hunch to jail. And that's how you win, is if you have enough evidence. Doesn't matter who actually did it. There's no mechanic for who actually committed the crime. You're just drumming up the evidence, and it's super cool. And then the D&D part is each person plays a different character, and they have their own plot that they get through. So the game is a victory points thing. So if you win at Clue and you win at one of the other three things going on, and if you navigate through your story properly, you get victory points. And so you're going through, like, one of the guys is an android, and your three stories that you get through over the 3 weeks of the game are the three directives from Isaac Asimov. And so you decide to break each of the three directives to get the good ending. And it's dope. I fucking love it. But Android Netrunner is awesome because it is asymmetric, but not in like, in Evolve, you play as the monster and 4 people play as dudes, and then you're still all playing a third-person shooter, just different types. It's not like that at all. Like, when you're playing the runner, you're a hacker, and as a hacker, your goal is to build your computer to be really, really awesome to be able to hack into these servers. But when you're playing as the corporation, you're trying to research and develop cool new things for your company and protect those assets with firewalls and stuff. And so your style of gameplay is completely different on what side of the board you're on, but they just meet in the middle to get victory points and win, and it's so good. It's so great.
Yeah, Netrunner is goddamn genius. I don't have extremely strong feelings about any games. I really love board games and card games, but I like a whole lot of them. I don't have like this is my one favorite. Board games, I'm really more into reading about board games and thinking that would be interesting. I would like to play that than I am into actually playing them. Especially because I moved to a new town where it's hard to make friends and stuff. Especially friends who are as into board games as you are. So I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
They're all fun. Me and my family like to play stuff. I do have a soft spot for the old game, The Amazing Labyrinth. Remember that one?
Heard of it.
It's kind of a deep cut one. It actually used to be really obscure, but I think it got reprinted in the last decade or so. It's a game where you have to move around a maze to collect items and solve and accomplish tasks. But the cool thing is, every time you play, the maze is made of like, I don't know, like maybe 10 by 10 or 8 by 8 sliding tiles. So say it's 8 by 8. I don't actually know. Say it's 8 by 8. That's 64 tiles. There are 65 tiles in the game. There's one extra tile. And at the beginning of your turn, and each tile has like either like a hallway, like, oh, this is a T intersection hallway. This is the straight line hallway. This is the hallway with an item you need in it. Like that's what all the tiles have. At the beginning of your turn, you do two things. The first thing you do is you slide in, you take the extra piece, and you put it at one end of the board, on one end of one row or column, and you push it. And you push that entire row, you slide that entire row one piece over, and off the other end, that piece pops out and is now the extra piece. So you shift the maze every single turn and then use that shifting to move around and go where you want it to go and hopefully fuck somebody else up. It's a kid's game. It's simple, but me and my family played it a lot as a kid, and it's a pretty freaking cool mechanic. I bet if you wanted to turn it into a much more elaborate game for adults, you could take that same mechanic and make something really brilliant out of it, I bet.
Yeah.
As for card games, probably also Netrunner. It's
really
just outrageously good, and I fucking love it. I also have a deep love/hate relationship with spades. My family loves spades. They always want to play spades. I hate spades, not because it's a badly designed game. It's a brilliantly designed game, but it stresses me the fuck out. It is like I never experienced more anxiety in my actual life than when I play spades. I'm pretty good at it though. I think I probably have a positive KD ratio in spades when playing with my family. I think. It is very exciting, but most of the time, if my family wants to play spades over the holiday, I hope to God there are 5 people in the room, because if there are 5 people, then I can say nose goes. If there's only 4 people, I have to play.
Yeah,
and it stresses me out. So that's my answer.
All right, so Essie, whose current Discord name is Score Lassie, because we all got Pokemon on the brain right now.
Yeah.
But she says, what is your favorite video game trope? Like, what's every time, like, for instance, the Malik character. So when Oron shows up and he takes a swig of his sake, if you like Malik's, you're just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, we're gonna have this old-ass man in this video game. Like, what's your trope that you love?
I guess it's sort of become a trope now, but, like, self-aware games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like on TV tropes as that or what it's called technically, but I like when a game knows when it's a game, because something about that just makes it way more interesting. Like, Undertale or what's some other Doki Doki Literature Club.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those games know that they're games, and
they interact with the fact that they are a game more than just like. Not like the Deadpool way where they look at the camera and like, I'm in a video game, but like
yeah, exactly. Like, they mess with you, they change, like they act like they're changing the programming. Stanley Parable is kind of another one where it's like
Stanley Parable's real good.
Yeah. The narrator is telling you what to do, but you go off and do something else, and so the narrator's like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
So I like those really self-aware games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are cool.
What about you, Maddie?
That's a hard question for me. I think some of the answers I could give would require me to talk for a very long time, so I'm going to avoid those. Those will come up when we play Dragon Quest. No, one thing I like a lot, this isn't exactly a trope, but it's more of a concept, more of a type of game, but it's still a quality that can appear. I like games that are dead serious. And what I mean by that is, it's not that I'm against humor. I love humor, I love to laugh, I love levity, but there are certain games, most of them are shmups, I feel like. Oftentimes there's not even any dialogue, where like, there's just, this is serious business. The game Ikaruga, all the graphics are orange and gray and silver and chrome and black and blue, and it's beautiful, but it's like you play as a a warrior trying to save the day, and at the end you sacrifice yourself to defeat the final boss, and you die, and the music is just dramatic and intense, and you are in it, and they never try to break the tension with a stupid joke because this is a Marvel movie. They never even try to have characters or make you feel. It's just like you're in a situation. It is very serious, and you're going to commit your entire heart and your soul to it. It's not a trope that you can point at, but I would say like I can list games that have it and games that don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those games might surprise you. Like why don't you think this game has it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's something that I think about when I think about what kind of game, what naturally sort of attracts me to a game. So that was a bit of a skew of the question, but that's my answer.
That's fine. Mine is like basically Genie from Aladdin in games like where you have Fee, even though Fee was a bad thing game design wise, like her character I really love. You also have Laszlo, whatever his name is, the hat in Minish Cap. Those type characters, Pyra and Mithra, both in Xenoblade are that way. Literally the entire Blade
sidekick / advisor.
Is that? Yeah, sidekick / advisor that isn't like actually there and type thing. Like they're there with you,
Cortana.
But they're not like what? Cortana,
one of the best of all time, Cortana.
Oh, Cortana, yeah. I thought you said Shauna from Legend of Dragoon.
That would have been a funny joke.
but yeah, Cortana's a great one. Like I just love. I like Navi is a bad one. Tail is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Or Tattle is yours. But yeah, like those are like that trope. I don't know why. I love it.
Nice.
Like every time it's in it, because what it probably is it's a Digimon, and so I like Digimon.
Oh my gosh, you just like Digimon. I feel like the answer to most of these questions is just that Sam likes Digimon.
Yeah. I'm gonna sit there in therapy this week and be like, all right, so we've done a lot of exploring. Like, what have you come to? And she's like, you like Digimon.
Sam's favorite video game trope, ladies and gentlemen, Digimon.
Nice.
All right, and so then the final one comes from our newest patron, Mr. Trantastic, and he says, for each Pokemon generation, which did you buy? So like red or blue, gold or silver, and why? You can skip the why or answer like with a one-word question. Like I don't want you to be like, well, you see, Ruby reminds me of my grandmother who did blah blah blah.
I'll start
blah,
this one because it's pretty simple but a little bit interesting. I have flip-flopped. Okay. I used to always pick the ones that I thought, and this is based on my own subjective opinion, I always picked the one that I thought was softer, I guess, like blue instead of red, because blue is a soft, nice color, red is fire. Silver instead of gold. Gold's much more of a bold statement. Silver is like nice and chill. That used to be always ready. I probably would have bought white instead of black. Since then, I've flip-flopped. And it's always the opposite for me. I always buy red, gold, black, definitely sword instead of shield, right? Sometimes I switch based on the legendary, or like my friend bought this version, so I'll buy the other one just to take one for the team. But that's generally what I do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eli.
Oh, sorry. I mean, it's all aesthetics for me. Like, which of the Pokemon on the cover do I like more, and which color do I like more?
Yeah.
So for me, it was blue, gold. I didn't get a Gen 3 one. So this was back when my parents were buying video games for me. I was not able to buy them. So I actually didn't get Ruby or Sapphire back in the day, but I did get Emerald, Leaf Green, Diamond, which I lost and I will never find. I thought it was somewhere in my childhood bedroom, but I've never been able to find it.
Wow.
Black, which I was really upset about because Black has the opposite legendary. Like I thought it would have whichever the Black legendary is.
Oh, that is weird.
It's got the white one in it.
Yeah.
That's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so my answers are basically I just picked the cover that I thought was coolest until I got to black and white, because like I'm like, oh well, black is like one of my favorite colors, because like my soul, I guess. But and then
Like
I'm like, black is one of my favorite colors. Let me grab it, and I grab the box, and Reshiram is on the cover, and I'm like, nope, put that shit back and grab
I
the
didn't
white.
understand that as a kid. And then let's see, X, because I like Xerneas better.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get Omega Sapphire or Alpha Sapphire. Ken got Omega Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically like whichever one I don't get is the one that he gets,
right.
so that we can.
Yeah.
And then I got Moon and he got Sun.
Nice. Yeah.
I love Lunala.
So going real quick, because I've already given the why. I started playing Gold and Silver. I'm a filthy casual, but in that one I had Gold, I think. That one was given to me, so I'll remember exactly. But then my first one that I bought like for myself was Fire Red, and then I went back and got Ruby. Red is one of my favorite colors, so you'll see a trend. So I got Fire Red, and then Ruby, and then I got Diamond, and then I got let's see, what was after that? Then I got White, as I said earlier. Then I got Y, and then I got Sun. So I got the red ones plus Gold and White. But yeah, that was my thing. I also am going to get, even though like I don't know, because Shield is red, but Sword is cool. So what will I get? It's up in the air.
I might get Shield for myself because of Steven Universe.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Steven Universe is my favorite video game trope.
But yeah, so that about does it for the week. If you like what you hear and you want to help us pay for it, you can hit us up on our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. If you just want to hang out, we have why can't I type? I was trying to do this chill, and I fucked it all up. I was trying to type while I did it.
Real quick, while you're typing, I'm going to remind you we got to tell everyone about Best of the Rest.
Oh yeah, so we have one week left, and if you aren't doing anything, you suck, and you should come and vote. All of our patrons have voted, and it is tied. So you listening, you right here, right now, you listening who have not donated to the Patreon, you can decide who will win this Best of the Rest. It probably won't decide who we play, but it'll decide who has a leg up in who we play next.
It'll decide who loses to Dragon Quest. Am I right, guys?
Right?
No, probably not.
But yeah, so the current bracket is Okage Shadow King versus Shining Force, and they are literally neck and neck at 8 votes. So come in and help us do all of that. So still going, trying to get to this thing, but so yeah, if you want to chat with us, you can hit us up on our Twitter at RPG Book Club, where I'm trying to actually make posts and not just retweets this year. We have an email address at rpgbookclub.gmail.com, and our Discord has a link in the description. And if you're watching live, right underneath the video, we have a link there. And if you do donate on our Patreon, you can check out our new video series. I have the first episode up finally. It's called the JRPG Canon. And patrons get to see it 2 weeks before everyone else, which is super cool. So, it was right before that, right?
I believe in you, Sam.
All right, yeah, okay, made it to the correct game. All right, their part 3 was... On their part 3, they played from the Mihin Highroad to the end of the Djose Temple. Does that sound good?
Yes, in fact, I think that's what I was thinking we were going to do as well. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to end at the end of the Djose Temple and talk about that next time. Cool. Awesome. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I've been Maddie Webbin.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
All right, Maddie, moment of truth. Do you still have a waveform?